greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting obtrusive to the show. That they can go in the afternoon for a U.S.
Hold
show,
on a second.
As they did there, and they can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
okay,
we know they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I continue this before you cut me off? We know one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen. I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.
Ooh, what's happening, everybody? Welcome to another edition of hashtag DMDMW, Dave Meltzer, dumb moment of the week. I am your host, Phil S. Marks.
Fucking Mark!
And this week, man, Dave got into it over Lucha Libre. There is Mucha Lucha drama, and we're actually just going to scroll his timeline for the last 3-4 days or however long it's been. Maybe 2 days. I'm being overly dramatic here. And speaking of overly dramatic, the inspiration, the iconics aren't all elite. People are kind of crapping on them, Dave Meltzer included, or it just seems like people aren't that hype on him and they don't really understand why they lost the way they lost to the Brawling Birds, which I'm actually behind, other than the match structure, you know, throwing tag rules out of whatever. I'm babbling. UFC or AEW, Dave deliberates whether UFC or AEW Collision will take priority in Paramount's eyes on Saturday nights. And everybody put flutes in the chat. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, rate this podcast 5 stars, leave a comment, whatever you got to do. But make sure you put flutes in the comments and chats because it is time for everybody's favorite segment turned show. And it is called Dave Meltzer's Dumb Moment of the Week.
Or, you know, the young superstar, you know, babyface, you know, that former heel thing.
So, guys, we are going to start things off by getting into the Mucha Lucha drama because this has been going on for like a few days now at this point, okay? So we're just going to head over here. We're not in Phil Marks' bookmarks. We're on Dave Meltzer's timeline to start things off here, okay? Some might call it the sacred timeline of wrestling. So what had happened was Dragon Lee got unmasked for a brief moment on WWE Raw this past Monday. Time cop. And people got triggered by it because like Sean Sapp and some of these other dirt sheets, they fucking freeze framed it. And it was just a glimpse, like blink and you'll miss it moment. They freeze framed it. They put it on social media and people were melting down about how disrespectful and how insensitive it was to do this. Now, I even showed the freeze frame on my show because I didn't realize, like, I'm ignorant to, if that's not good, like if in Mexico and Lucha Libre fans are like, no, that's fucked up. Okay, I'll cop to being ignorant to that because I'm going to explain to you guys something. I remember growing up, for me, if a Lucha took their mask off, it was like a sign of respect. So like, when Psychosis showed up for his match at ECW One Night Stand, I want to say in like, what was it, 05 or whatever, I think it was the first one, the second one, whatever. He showed up and he was wearing his mask. And if you guys remember, he got in the ring and he took his mask off. And the crowd was like, what? And then they even chanted at him, put your mask on, because they wanted to see Psychosis wrestle in a mask. But Joey Styles was getting over on commentary. Oh my God. No, he was getting over like, hey, that's a sign of respect. That's like the ultimate sign of respect. So if that's not the case, then I'm a dummy. Like I'll cop to that in a minute. Now, I'm not going to sit here and say Dave's a dummy or he's probably more up on his lucha shit than I am. Not probably. He for surely is. But he just gets into the whole culture. It's arguing about race and racialism and all of these fucking things. And we're going to get into it. So at one point I was screen grabbing a bunch of these and I was at like 12 screen grabs And I was like, I'm just going to react to it on the show. Like, I'm just going to scroll his whole timeline the last like 2 days. Okay. So we're going to go through this timeline and just sort of react to what Dave's saying here. And it all started with this tweet. I narrowed it down because on the second, I went through the second, which was Monday, and he didn't talk anything about Raw, so he must have watched it after, which is fine. And so this guy, Alfredo Diaz, says, crazy that the American wrestling journalists and reporters don't give a shit about Lucha Libre traditions like this. Even if it's in WWE, it's basic fucking knowledge you don't post pics like this of any masked wrestler. Fair assessment. I didn't know that's like an offense thing, but also it's the day and age of the internet. So unfortunately, you're just yelling about this into the void. And like the majority, the masses of wrestling fans, they don't really give a shit. And Dave goes, this is as idiotic a take as there is. Now, like, why does Dave have to be condescending and rude to this guy who is, I'm assuming, of Mexican heritage based off the flag and his thing? And it doesn't mean because he's Mexican, he gets to point his finger and tell everybody what is and isn't. For sure not. But he's just voicing his outrage. And then Dave is just like, you're a fucking idiot, basically. It's like, all right, I don't think it's that idiotic. Like, he's doing what, like, Dave and Bryan get triggered over kayfabe all the time. So this guy's just getting triggered over like kayfabe a little bit. Here's the thing with Dragon Lee, though. He's had the mask ripped open a bunch of times, like to where it was like on AEW, they ripped his mask off and he just got his hands over his face really quick. I bet there's a freeze frame where they showed his fucking face back then too. So it's unfortunate that you're in the day and age of the internet. A nip pops out, a Lucha's face pops out, it's getting fucking, someone's finding it. They're sleuthing it out. They're screen grabbing it and they're putting it up. So Dave Meltzer says, today is okay. This has nothing to do with that. So we just got to stick to the Lucha stuff. So as we scroll along, So this guy here, Horchata Di Taro, Horchataro, at Horchataro, says, both of you shouldn't be speaking on Mexican culture, to keep it a whole buck. It's obvious where the issue is. No need to act like know-it-all children. And then Meltzer says, this has zero to do with Mexican culture and everything to do with what the actual job should be. If it was Mexican culture, then, the finish was a DQ for unmasking in front of the referee. So the complaint about Mexican culture should be directed at WWE. No, Dave, culture isn't the same as like in Mexico, the rule set is this certain thing. Now, the rules do play a factor in the culture because what is culture really? It's like something that society fucking accepts as how people operate and what is the norm and what is acceptable and what isn't and what we celebrate and what we admonish and things like this, right? That'd be a culture, the way you celebrate things like this, right? So it encompasses a lot. So sure, that rule is Mexican culture, but I mean, I don't fucking know. That's just like a weird response to that guy, I would say. But Dave isn't entirely unreasonable and he is sticking up for the Fed. Not that like you get points when you automatically stick up for the Fed with me. But Dave's at least like just because he's done this. So if people are offended by this, then he's offended them for decades. And so have all the magazines, as he points out. So Lambo Lester says, oh, but I thought it was all a work. Douchebag Dave. Did you listen to the show last night? I explained it in detail. Moving along here. Didn't know you have to be Mexican to understand Lucha Libre. Dave said, this is not about Lucha Libre. If it was about Lucha Libre, then you'd have a DQ finish there. Same as if an American wrestles in Japan. Because he's American, they don't change the rules for him for a 10 count outside the ring. It's 20 or title can't change via DQ when it can. Now, CMLL does change the rules for Americans, but I think that's stupid. So he calls out CMLL, and thankfully he called it out for being stupid because we were fucking trashing Dave for which again, he won't go back, he won't go like retract what he said and then flip it around and go, well, WWE's doing a better job, but at least there's a semblance of sanity, He thinks it's dumb. He called out WWE, how they're going to change, or they're talking about the culture of Lucha Libre and how they're not going to change anything. And then Dave got all triggered by that. And even though AEW's been changing the rules and things like this to accommodate the American style or what gets over in America more. And it's so funny too, because again, we have this debate all the time. Like, is it the best if it doesn't get over all over the fucking place? You know, like WWE shit gets over all over the fucking place. AEW style, like, yes, maybe in like sicko parts of the UK and in Japan and shit. The Lucha Libre style works really well in Mexico. Does it translate to America? We'll see when WWE starts to take AAA more in America, but it's not going to start doing crowds like SummerSlam all of a sudden. I highly doubt it. And they have the ability to throw like an Omos in there to at least Americanize it up a little bit, as far as like America likes giants, pal, you know? Anyways, I don't want to dwell on this stuff too long because there's a lot. So he responds, this guy, Hochata, says, Lucha Libre and masks are synonymous with Mexican culture. I understand, and it clearly was done and agreed upon between Dragon Lee and WWE, more than likely with an understanding, pardon me, that it'll be handled with respect. It's his hissy fits and clapbacks that are making you look bad. Here's the thing. Dragon Lee, if he's cool with, they're going to pull the mask off. If you don't think Dragon Lee was okay if people grabbed it and put it out there, then you are basically telling me you think Dragon Lee's a dumbass and he's not a grown adult who understands what the internet is in 2026. You know what I'm saying? He's not that dumb. He knew what was going to happen. He knew he had to get a hand up. He couldn't just put his hand over his face like he did in AEW, which he did. It was like a split second. You shouldn't have did that. Then Dragon Lee's mask shouldn't have got pulled off. I'm fully in that camp. Dragon Lee's not an idiot, guys. He knew what would happen. He knows, dude. You can't even run a house show without. You can't even put Hobbs on main event without somebody snapping a pic. You know, you can't even do a live event with fucking 50 people there and Rusev comes out. That shit gets screen grabbed and people put it out. It's just what it is. So. Dave says nothing WWE does relates to Mexican culture. If it did, things would be so completely different. And I don't know. That's just like a random, okay. How does that address what he says about your guys' snarky fucking bitch made comments and shit, Dave? I have no idea. You just take a shot at the Fed, okay? Even though they've fucking helped propel Lucha Libre, and some people say like AAA's not real Lucha Libre and shit, so whatever. If Dave's again trying to be a purist elitist, whatever. Let's go here. I have no on this. Let's go. As much of a fan, USA. Okay. As much of a fan that you or any USA reporter is about Lucha Libre, you need to stop acting like you know more about it than Mexican people. The mistake was made by SRS, not the camera work. And if he had any knowledge of how that spot works, he wouldn't have posted Dragons. If he had any knowledge, Sap doesn't know he's some prolific pro wrestler now. He doesn't know what the fuck, like he doesn't know about fucking producing television shows and being a pro wrestler. Let's just be honest. So fucking no, that's just like, he should know about why. He's a fucking he's a dirt sheet journalist. Who gives a fuck? You know, you shouldn't know how to wrestle too, right? Dave Meltzer says, this is not about Lucha Libre. This is about reporting on live events. This is zero to do with Lucha Libre. Maybe Dave's right. I don't know. I'll play a bassed flute. Like, again, I'm fair. I'm always fucking fair here. I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, I know I'm going to be a hater just because a little bit. I don't know if it's necessarily about Lucha Libre as it is, as Dave Meltzer does go to say, like, people have been doing this, have been reporting on in America, have been reporting on like who luchas are for like 50 years and shit. And the problem is that like the internet's made everybody more hypersensitive to things and like socially aware of things and things like this, right? So maybe it's just times they are changing and we need to adapt and not reveal lucha shit, or maybe that's an outdated thing. Let's continue. So this guy, Alfredo Diaz, says, have you ever seen a face shown like this in Mexican companies, Dave? Yeah, I have. I saw a video where like 1,000 luchadors lined up in Mexico and like revealed to everybody like this whole big ass crowd. We watched it on the show. The camera angle was bad, but to get this picture, Sean had to go frame by frame. Yeah, was it Sap's picture? Like, did he grab it himself, or did like someone who works for Fightful send it? Now I'm sweeping for Sap. What the fuck's going on? We're in Upside Down right now. So did Sap, like, did someone send it to him? Again, it's like you can't expect this guy, that guy, to be like aware of all this shit. Like, look how fucking ignorant he is about all sorts of things, right? People fucking hate that dude on Twitter and shit. So I just don't expect him to be all like conscious of Lucha Libre and shit. But Dave Meltzer says, yes, LaPark's face was shown on magazine covers with his mask torn off. Yeah, now, Dave, in fairness now, to defend Lucha, it's only like partially torn off. Like Ray did that spot a bunch. Dragon Lee's more like he's just ripped his shit off a million times. Dave says, in Japan, the identity of every masked wrestler was reported going back to the 60s and maybe the 50s. It may be Mexican tradition, but as I said, if we were doing Mexican tradition, the finish is a DQ for unmasking in front of a referee. Can you argue that? Can you argue that? I don't know. Listen, I think Dave's conflating things here, and that's what's pissing people off, and he's too dumb to realize, like, culture and tradition encompasses more than just the rules of pro wrestling, and the rules of pro wrestling don't necessarily apply. Like, there's been matches with contested under Japanese rules in America, and there's been matches in, I'm sure, Japan that's been contested under American rules, and there's been whole feds like ECW where the rules are there are no rules. Thunder Road, right? And there's pure rules, and there's rules get mixed up. So he's I think that's what's triggering people too. He's sort of like conflating things to try and make a point that he's not just taking the time. He has a blue check. He could just really thoroughly explain this all. But he goes, believe me, in journalism school, I was oh my god. In journalism school, I was never told not to report who masked wrestlers were. So did he go to pro wrestling journalism school? Like, did he go to Lucha Libre journalism school? And in the US, every newsletter since the beginning of time, the land before time, Bryan, long before me, reported on those things. Long before Dave was the beginning of time. He's an eternal. Oh my god. So moving along here, just the way Dave says shit, it's so funny. I'm sure Dave has watched a lot of it, LMAO. He's a historian, of course. He has. Doesn't mean he gets the culture like my people do. And see, that's what I'm trying to point out here. Like, Dave, you're saying culture that encompasses so much more than pro wrestling rules. Anyways, Dave Meltzer says, then get mad at WWE, not the guy who reports on happenings in WWE. This guy says, which was a shoot incident. Rob Viper here says, which was a shoot incident where the guy who ripped his mask was paid by said magazine to do it and expose Parka as a part of a promotional war. Is that true? The wrestler got his ass kicked, was promptly fired. The magazine and photographer got banned. This is not comparable at all. So there you go, man. Did this guy just pull Dave's...
For, the young superstar, babyface, that former heel thing. So
he could have just pulled Dave's card right there, and I actually don't. And there you go. It just corrected the record on everything. Absolutely. That could have just been a pwn on everything right there. Biggest bomb dropped. And then Meltzer says, didn't say it was. I was asked a question. Oh, but Dave, that's a big one to leave all that out. See, that's how you fucking lie by omission and lie by embellishing the truth and things like this that I point out so frequently with Dave, right? So he made an argument and I was like, fair point. And then he also points to like a Japanese article as well that I saw an image of, but it's like, again, if that's Japan, then that's not Mexico, bro. So, damn, dude, they're just pulling Meltzer's cards here. See, anytime I give Meltzer the benefit of the doubt, dude, it blows up in my face every fucking time. So, okay, he goes, Lucha traditions have never applied to U.S. or Japanese reporting on U.S. or Japanese pro wrestling matches and rarely on their matches at all. Again, if you want to get mad at WWE. No, it's not getting mad. People are upset about you conflating shit and being condescending, Dave. So again, quit skirting it and being like, well, WWE. And then also address the fact, like Dave responds, but he doesn't actually respond to this. Buddy, it was a shoot incident. I didn't say it was, but Lucha traditions never applied to U.S. or Japan. Okay, that might be true what you're saying now, but that's a whole other thing than what this guy's trying to get you to understand. Like, go, oh, fuck, my bad, or, oh, yeah, I know, but still in America, they still reported on it. Or so, you know what I mean? Like, at least talk about how there was a shoot where they sent a guy to fucking rip a mask off for realsies. That's pretty crazy that they did that, man. Pro wrestling is so gangster back in the day. So this guy says, white American calling a Mexican an idiot for speaking on Lucha Libre culture. You guys are fucking nuts, LMAO. Dave says, WWE is not Lucha Libre. And that's the thing. Now, that's where the debate comes in. Now, if you're a Lucha, if you're a guy like Dragon Lee or Rey Mysterio, isn't it just Lucha Libre whenever you're wrestling? Is that not? Or does Lucha Libre mean it has to be in Mexico? Or couldn't you run a Lucha Libre card in America? Whoa, or anywhere. So I don't think it has to be. It's not tequila. It doesn't technically have to be from Mexico to qualify, I don't think. But like maybe the tradition of the rules and things like that, and you factor all those things in. But I just always looked at it like Rey's a lucha. So when Rey Mysterio's wrestling, that's a form of lucha libre. No, it might be a lucha versus an American style guy, but doesn't that qualify as lucha libre still? I'm really curious. Lucha libre definition. I just want the one-to-one definition, and it's just a type. So the actual definition is a type of professional wrestling originating in Mexico in which the contestants wear masks and use rapid acrobatic techniques. So I guess by definition, a type of professional wrestling so it can be anywhere, but they have to be masked guys and they got to be doing flips, and it's a certain type to be, I guess, qualified specifically as Lucha Libre, according to the dictionary, I guess. But I don't know. I think when Chavo and Rey mixed it up on SmackDown, that was Lucha Libre. Anyways, journalism standards have nothing to do with culture in another country. This was not in a CMLL ring, and not one thing about the show resembled Lucha Libre. Mucha, Lucha. Maybe, but it's also like you have the league, like WWE's the World League. It's the world tournament of pro wrestling, right? Where the best from every style and culture and background and the best developed athletes and all of these things meet on the grandest stage, right? That's how they market. That's how it's perceived. So the best luchas, I mean, that sort of does encompass a bit of lucha. But again, this is like Dave spent so much time arguing about this still. Like, holy fuck, let me get through this. So this guy says, I'm sure Dave has watched a lot of it. Okay, and then Dave quote tweets this again and goes, I got the journalism rules, and this event did not happen in Mexico, so that culture is irrelevant. Ugh. And pro wrestling rules and journalism rules aren't the same either. Oh, fuck, Dave. Ugh. See, the dismissiveness, the dismissivism of Dave Meltzer here is just why people get mad. Okay, period. This is what pisses people off. Okay, and that's why they're just everyone's.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time too.
So moving along. This guy says, okay, now he's speaking on Espanol, buddy. So this guy says, I don't want to say anything actually, because it might be racialist or something, and I don't know, but he's going back and forth on Espanol. This guy says, just watch Raw. So happy to see Penta win the IC title. My main Dave Meltzer. Okay, Penta made a mistake. All right, whatever. We're going to skip over that. That's him trashing Phoenix and shit. So any journalist who covers professional wrestling in Mexico knows they must not reveal the identity of masked wrestlers. Those who do are rejected by the profession itself, as well as by fans and wrestlers. It is not a written rule, but it is a rule of honor and respect. It's an unwritten rule of the road. Blame WWE. They booked it. They shot it the way they did. Put it up for the world to see. Anything else is disingenuous. Yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit, I am kind of with Dave on this, gotta be honest, like, any journalist will know, not in America and shit, and it's true, like, Dave is right about, not that people's traditions and shit are irrelevant, I'm not saying that, but in Japan, certain shit is socially acceptable that isn't socially acceptable in America, that isn't socially acceptable in China, that isn't socially acceptable in Mexico, that isn't socially acceptable in Nigeria, that isn't socially acceptable in fucking France, you know, it's you could take that and apply that anywhere as far as like tradition, culture, what's culturally accepted, what's socially accepted, all of these sorts of fucking things, or what's considered normal or do's and don'ts. And in America, it's just all about get the click and who can be first to stooge whatever, reveal anything you can, especially with dirt sheets. It's just reveal everything, reveal any and absolutely thing that you can. You know what I'm saying? Dave's still a dumbass. Don't worry. Your boy Phil ain't flipping on Dave now. I haven't joined forces, but he's still a dumbass and being condescending and a piece of shit here. But what he's trying to, the greater point that he's trying to make is he's right about it, okay? So the culture is irrelevant is crazy. Yeah, thank you. And then he responded to this. Yeah, that is the crazy part. Sorry it went over your head. No, it didn't go over anyone's head, Dave. You're a condescending cocksucker. But if you are mad, blame WWE. No. He's not talking about the situation now. Now he's saying what you said was shitty. Again, you're just skirting it and going, but WWE, Brian. Blame WWE and blame Canada, buddy. Blame WCW for disrespecting this culture from the beginning of time and not the people reporting on it. Okay, WCW didn't disrespect this culture from the beginning of time because Rey Mysterio lost a mask match and fucking took his mask off. Or like Kevin Nash bullied him into taking his mask off in the storyline. Like that's a storyline. Okay? So don't do that, Dave. Now you're just spiraling. Pardon me, guys. So Angel Nunez says, do the rules of journalism change depending on the country? I mean, they do, bro. Yeah, they actually do, because in some countries, in Canada, the news organizations are funded by the people, by the government. So, like, yeah, the fucking shit is, you go to China, the rules of how you can do shit on the news, not to get too out there, right? This is a cartoon. This is all fake, but I'm just saying, you fucking come to Canuckland and it's different how the way people conduct and what they're willing to, what issues they're willing to press and which ones they're not. That is different where you go culturally and around the world. So, but as far as like human decency and ethics, like human ethics and shit, yeah, I mean, there's something to question when it comes to these dirt sheet guys, all of them, you know. Dave Meltzer goes, no, in your mind, Mexico's unique rules, because those are absolutely not the rules in the U.S. No, that's not in his mind. Judas, in his mind, they do have unique rules over there. Or Japan or the UK. Find me a news reporter from any mainstream publication of any size in any of those countries who tells you that a photo from a televised event that the world already saw is inherently banned from usage in a story. He's absolutely right. When Janet Jackson's titty got popped out at the Super Bowl, that shit was grabbed and put fucking everywhere. So he is right, especially in the USA. That's how it works. It's TMZ culture. So Dave is right about that. They will laugh in your face. This is non-story. Again, if you want to blame someone, blamed the people who did the angle, shot the angle, and have not for 1 second attempted to edit or delete the angle. Yeah, I mean, Dave is right about that one. This guy, Apollo Valdez, says, everything happened very quickly, but Gunther tried to cover his face still. People are now searching for the exact moment. I understand that fans might want to do that, which isn't considered right, at least in Mexico, but a journalist shouldn't do it out of respect. Now, that's where none of these dirt sheets respect the business, because their job is to literally stooge the work and fucking break kayfabe for everybody and remove and get more, squeeze every last inch of the toothpaste out of the tube. People started figuring out, I'll just suspend my disbelief a little more, I figured out, honey, I got a toothpick and I'm getting some of this toothpaste back in this tube, and the dirt sheets are actively trying to push it out. That's literally their fucking job, is we're going to break the fourth wall down, and we're going to break down the walls for those about to bump. I won't jump. No, but like Dave's job, any of these dirt sheets, their job is blatantly disrespecting pro wrestling, unless you're like Pro Wrestling Illustrated or like one of those old school magazines that wrote some shit, but really it was about taking the cool pictures and fucking, I watched that. I watched like half of it. I couldn't, it was so long. I'll finish the other half, but Jim Cornette was giving a tour of his wrestling memorabilia. Someone uploaded that on YouTube, on this channel that they focus on. I think they bought the rights to it or something, but it focuses on like collectibles and stuff. And I think it's like an old RF videos, but some other channel recently re-uploaded it. And yeah, like those, like taking the cool pictures and like that's a whole other. That's fine. Like you're kind of keeping it kayfabe. Pro Wrestling Illustrated's like fucking kayfabe. All of the other dirt sheets inherently are disrespecting pro wrestling. Okay. WWE has not edited the footage. The decision is on them. And yeah, Dave's just not gonna address that. He's gonna fucking just slime out. Did WWE do that? And Apollo again says, you don't understand the point. You can report on it. Many times it has been said that someone's mask was ripped off, but you either don't show the frame or you blur it. In the end, exposing it simply means you don't care. Yeah, Apollo, I'm sorry to tell you, but they don't care. The dirt sheets don't care. They don't give a fuck. So, they just don't care about any of that. So I wouldn't worry about that. That's already like, yeah. Moving along here, let me check in with chat. Sorry, guys. I mean, keep you guys fucking waiting. See, I got some super chats in here. We're ripping and roaring. So, Yushin FX has been a member for 8 months. Flutes in the chat for Dave. At 613805 has been a member for 14 months. Shout you out. Such a long time. Plenty and Pixel gifted 5 pro wrestle. Holy fuck, man. The gifts rule. You guys coming through with massive support. Monday shows always rule, and then you're saying Bork Plinian has been a member for 19 months. Guys, memberships are 99 cents on YouTube, and I do bonus shows every Monday, and you guys get a free super chat, I think, every month. I think that's how it works. I appreciate you guys. Round of applause for all of you guys supporting. I'm trying to rip through this stuff. I'm trying to rip through all the Mexico stuff. It's like days worth of it. 250 ROH tickets reserved for last week's taping. 70 shows up. Damn, was it 250? Wow. Nobody cares. They both are bad bookers and just like playing. Okay. But no one screen grabbed Raquel's wardrobe malfunction at the chamber and got it. Oh, naughty now. I just watched a short with it. You could 100 slow it down and see it. No one got a picture of Mystico's face. Okay, so you guys are deliberating. Let's get through Dave's. Let's trudge through it, okay? Shout you guys out. Hit the like button. So this guy, Juice Springsteen, says, to your recollection, how was the Rey Mysterio mask removal at Super Brawl 1X received by those in the pro wrestling world, fans, analysts, historians alike? And Dave says it was viewed as being stupid because he was more marketable as a masked wrestler. Yeah, that's true too. Angel says, in fact, many Spanish-speaking journalists have been talking about this topic all day long. For a journalist like you, if you cared about the opinion of Spanish-speaking journalists, he just said he doesn't, bro. Here's the problem with Dave. You just got to felt him. You can't fucking, he just blocks you out, or like you can't speak reason to the man. That's like the most triggering thing to him. So he says, Spanish-speaking journalists, you would have already realized this. Yeah, he's not exactly Angel. And I love you, bud. I support you, but don't keep trying to get it across because he's not going to accept that. And also the argument's a different thing now, but at least this is more on topic of like, well, in Mexico, it's fucked and they wouldn't have done that. you obviously don't care. You guys don't care, like the dirt sheets, but yeah, it's America, dude. It's America, and it's pro wrestling dirt sheets. Their job is to literally stooge and not care about or respect any of the kayfabe or any of the hard work that goes into protecting the fucking business. So Dave Meltzer says, I said a U.S. mainstream reporter. They will laugh at how silly this all is. Again, if you have an issue, it's with how WWE shot and did not think it was wrong because they did not have it removed from the Netflix show. So that's irrelevant. What truly matters is respect for other cultures. True, we should all love each other and respect, but again, like, no one in America or Canada or anywhere gives a fuck that Sean Sapp screen grabbed the fucking thing. No one gives a fuck, dude. Let's just be honest. Like, or like, I'm not nobody absolute, but like, this is an IWC problem mostly, and it'll be like, I'm sure other than Dave, no one, and myself now, logging Dave, no one's really even talking about this, I'm sure, today. If you choose to do it anyway, it's simply because you don't care. Absolutely, you're right, Apollo. That is all on WWE. No. Now you're, again, no, it's not all on them. What they're saying is true too. You obviously don't care if you're like one of these guys. I love pro wrestling and I want to protect it, and I'm the sanctimonious one, that fucking the all-seeing eye of pro wrestling, and I protect it, and I've done more for this business. Then, like, you have to agree that it takes a certain level of, well, fuck them, to just reveal that shit, you know? So I am on the people's side for sure, because Dave is just an ignorant fuck. So moving along, this was not a Lucha Libre show, nor was it in Mexico. I've been through that already. Yeah, Dave, because you keep just repeating yourself. Has WWE edited or removed the footage? Since they have not, you're arguing about something. I'm skipping past this one. He's just he's looping now against the same guy and not addressing what the guy's saying. Apollo Valdez, you don't understand the point. So he keeps responding to the same shit. Or this is AI writing this shit or something. Complain to Netflix and ask them to remove the footage. Do so for YouTube as well. When they both do, go to Sean and say both Netflix and YouTube have done it and get back to me. This is not U.S. pro wrestling culture and never has been. Angry at the guy who stepped on the flag on purpose at a worldwide TV show, a boss who told the guy to step on the flag, or a reporter who took it off. Ernesto Ocampo, who's like an actual journalist in Mexico, I believe. And this guy says you would have okay, so let's read what he said, because Dave starts chirping at this guy. So Dave Meltzer, oh my God, they're going back and forth here. It's a never-ending story here. So Ernesto Ocampo says, in wrestling journalism, it is a matter of ethics to help protect the identities of the masked wrestlers. So Dave has no ethics or morals. So Dave says, in Japan, the identity of every... Okay, so holy fuck. Oh, man. So Dave literally goes, yeah, but in Japan... Okay, cool, buddy. And he wasn't even talking to Dave. And Dave's just bitter because this guy, like, actually has news about Lucha Libre and shit, and Dave wants to be the one to control the narrative of how people perceive Lucha in fucking the Americas. So again, Ernesto Ocampo, in wrestling journalism. Oh, okay. He didn't say, okay, pardon me. He said in wrestling journalism. I thought he said in Mexican wrestling journalism. So my bad. Correction on my part. In wrestling journalism, just in general. So Dave goes, in Japan, the identity of every masked wrestler is reported going back to the 60s and maybe the 50s. It may be Mexican tradition, but as I said, if we were doing Mexican tradition, okay, believe me, in journalism school, I was never told not to report who masked wrestlers were. And in the U.S., every newsletter since the beginning of time, long before me, reported on those things. We read that one. So the response to that is, you're absolutely right that journalism school doesn't teach you to protect kayfabe secrets, but that's not really the point here. The issue isn't whether you can report masked wrestlers as identities. It's whether you should when covering a culture where the act is considered disrespectful. Mexican wrestling operates on a specific social contract with its audience. Journalism ethics aren't just about what your profession taught you. They're also about contextual sensitivity to the communities you cover. Boom. This guy just fucking smoked Dave. And this is something Dave doesn't understand, because he likes to, like, again, I've said this a bunch, but lie by omission or hold on to information or embellish things. And this is what, and like, not in a jovial way. He thinks he's like this serious journalism guy. Look how he's talking about my time in journalism school. And I'm sitting here like, what? You went to pro wrestling journalism school? Like journalism, you're supposed to break and reveal everything. You're supposed to reveal everything that you can. You're also supposed to do it when the time's right. You're also supposed to, like Ernesto says, the ethics aren't just about what your professors taught you. They're also about contextually sensitive to the communities you cover, and not even just communities, like certain topics you're covering as well. And I guess communities would fall under that umbrella too. Like everything affects people. Everything affects people. That should be on a t-shirt. Mexican fans aren't asking for special treatment. They're asking for the same respect you'd give any cultural practice you don't personally share. So again, it's like, don't, yeah, just what he said. I'm not going to elaborate on that. So, Ernesto, so this guy says, you would have a great point if this happened in CML, not in Indianapolis on WWE Raw. And Ernesto says, it is irrelevant in which part of the world and in which company it happened. The problem is that although WWE did the angle carefully, a journalist looked for the exact moment where Dragon Lee's face could be seen, and despite fans of Mexican wrestling explaining to him that it is culturally offensive, he has not understood or does not care, which is in fact, it's the typical of the American mindset. Ooh, whoa. And I will back him up here too. Like if a bunch of people, so for instance, some sicko made a video of like one of the WWE girl wrestlers making out with him or kissing him or whatever. He made an AI video of it and people were roasting it. And people made it very clear online, like this is fucked up. And the girl felt messed up about it. And I'm like, I'm not going to play this on my show. I'm going to talk about it and shit, but I'm not going to like cause her any more mental anguish or whatever. So if a bunch of people, and again, even when I showed the freeze frame of Dragon Lee, I'll cop to it. I'm ignorant to this. Like I'm learning about this all now. I always thought based off growing up and again, watching American wrestling, I guess, like at ECW One Night Stand, I go to that when Joey Styles was like the ultimate sign of respect. And the crowd's like, put your mask on to Psychosis. I always remember that moment. And I never, like, I've seen so many masks get ripped and shit. It's never, I'm insensitive to it. So people who are sensitive to it, a bunch of them, and not that they control the world, but this is like a trivial thing where Sapp or Meltzer, whoever could just go, okay, well, let's change the photos because we just don't want to be like, it's not like it affects your lives. It's not like people trying to like impede on anything, you know? It's just like, okay, we'll change the picture. I'll just delete that picture or whatever the fuck, because people are upset about, I guess, okay. It's not even like, oh, they're being woke and taking me out, man. It's not even that. It's really not. It's really not impeding on anything. It's not. It's not treading on you. Don't tread on me. It's nothing like that. It's just like, you could just delete the picture. It's just a minor trivial thing. And like no one would really care if people were just like, yeah, okay, I get why you guys are pissed about this. I guess I could fucking. But instead, like Dave's going to argue it for 4 days and argue with clearly a more competent journalist than him. So Dave says if they did it carefully, this wouldn't have happened. No, Dave. Again, do I got to do it? And then everyone's going to come after me. Do I got to go find where AEW did the mask ripping off of Dragon Lee? Because they did one too. I bet you could find a freeze frame. Like, come on, man. It's like a split second thing. Cameras are better and better, and there's more and more internet sleuths. So what are we really talking about here? Dave said if they did it carefully, this wouldn't have happened. And if they have still not edited off the shows, oh my God, it tells me it's not a concern to them. Right. Everyone knows it's not a concern to them, Dave. They're talking about you, buddy. They're talking about, is it a concern to you? Concern to Sapp. Yeah. That's what they're talking about, right? We've established that, Dave. Now you're just looping and spiraling and spurging out. So this guy, Kev C. Sicko, never mind. That's not about Lucha. Here we go. So this is in a Japanese magazine. And again, Ray wrestled for how long? Like, I'm not disrespecting anybody here. Ray is out. He takes pictures of himself out publicly, no mask. So here is Ray versus Psychosis. And I don't know if this is an American or a Japanese, or is that no, sorry, that's Guerrera. That's the Juice, right? So Hoovy, I believe, right? And so WWE is not to blame. What happened occurs all the time in Mexico. It's very common for wrestlers to end up with their faces uncovered, and it's also common for photographers to capture images of the exact moment, but those photos aren't published. An example of this photo of Juventud Guerrera against Rey Mysterio, which was kept archived in Super Luchas and only published after he lost his mask in March 99. Wow, this is so cool. Like, just historically, this rules. Shout out Ernesto for like pointing this shit out. You know what I mean? So that's so cool. They kept it archived until 99. So I wonder what year this was from. And then it got published. And then you see a young Ray pre all the tats. Awesome stuff. That's like a great pull. That's the gem that we're taking away from this whole thing. So Dave then goes in Japan and the US, that photo runs in coverage of the show. But did it actually at the time though, Dave? Here it does this thing. Like, what the fuck, dude? Come on now. Over here, we did this other thing that we actually didn't do because all of these years later, it wasn't even uncovered till all these years later or whatever the fuck. Here we do a thing. That's what he's saying. It's like, all right, well, so I think okay. So this guy's like, Sapp and Meltzer have been in the biz for years. Okay, so Dave's like, I know that, but in the U.S. culture's different. When the New York State Athletic, okay. Well, okay, this is actually a good tidbit. The New York State Athletic Commission forced masked wrestlers to unmask. Whoa. Every magazine published the photos. When people tore off masks and they tried to hide their faces, newspapers and magazines covered them. Another L for the grifters posting the Fast Nationals. Okay, we'll get into that. Dave Meltzer, learn, you prick. Dave says, I know about culture. The culture of actual reporters in the U.S. is for masked men to attempt to find out their names and the faces and the dates back to coverage in 1915. He is right, though, I guess. Or maybe someone will pull his card. This is historically part of the U.S. newsletter scene, which goes back at least 75 years. I'm sorry for those who only know Mexican pro wrestling culture and don't know U.S. reporting on the newsletter scene. And sports was not to protect the trade secrets, but to do exactly this. If your goal is to be a promotional arm of the wrestling companies, oh, how ironic this is, Dave. How ironic. By that standard, what he did was wrong. If your goal is to be a part of the U.S. reporting, either on real subjects or historically, how real reporters have covered this historically, this is a non-issue. Would I do it? No, not my thing. Dave, why the fuck couldn't you just say that from the jump? After all of this is a day later or two. You couldn't have just said, would I do it? No, it's not my thing. Fuck, man. And people start roasting him. Did journalism school cover the 5-star match rating system? Critical reviews of pro wrestling matches actually started in Mexico with star ratings in the 50s. But they were done so for movies, food, music, television far earlier than that. So yes. Oh, Dave. Oh, Dave. So again, WWE ring DQ. So this guy says, white people have always thought everyone else's culture is irrelevant. Dave goes, white people, this has never been an issue in more than 100 years of mass wrestlers. Never once. Yeah, I don't remember this ever really being an issue. So Dave, we're almost, okay, you should respect Mexican Lucha Libre. He's like, why are you writing this to me and not WWE? I've never prescribed to special rules of wrestling journalism. No, you did earlier when Ernesto pwned you, Dave. The problem is not the spot, bud. Yes, in the U.S., photos of such occurrences have been published going back decades. Okay, Dave, you tweeted that out already. Just retweet yourself and fucking, sorry, guys. Now I'm just skimming, pardon me, through the end. There's just so much here. So Dave gets mad using the term gringo, shows who the racial one is. This is not a culture issue, because if it was, American reporting, blah, 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 blah. So being fair and unbiased, I should feel the same. And to me, this is such a non-issue because for 100 years, blah, 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 shooting mask guys. So yeah, he got called Gringo, the Gringo Poppy. Shout out Brendan Schaub. All these words just to tell us that you're a clickbait merchant now. I mean, that's the entire internet. Sorry, but I didn't post any photos. And if you read, you would understand this better. Oh my God, Dave. No, you don't need to read. You just can see that you didn't post images. That culture is far more relevant than any star rating or anything else you have or will ever contribute to wrestling. Based on culture, what happened is the same thing as for 100 years. Dave just spiraling and talking about DQs and shit. Holy fuck, we can't even read all this. Oh my God, dude, he's just looping, buddy. He's the looper. He's looped out, man. Okay, this idiotic is talking. This idiotic, or the idiotic, it's talking without knowing nothing about Mexican culture. What's your thoughts on Ray? Dave, don't respond to these people. It's really easy to just realize it's fairly disrespectful. This is not and was not new here as subject. It's been done in the U.S. for 100 years. Sorry, I was asking about Rey Mysterio wrestling with a mask. This guy, I understand you're old, Meltzer, but being old doesn't mean being an idiot. Journalists have lived by a code of ethics, which includes respecting cultures and traditions when reporting. Dave goes, show me a journalism code of ethics in the U.S. as it pertains to masked wrestlers, because there's none, and the opposite. I know, Dave. So now you're like pulling an MJF. Dave, they understand what you're fucking saying with that, dude. Yes, in the U.S. it's different. They're just talking about like you love Mexico and all this. You're always trying to school everyone on Mexican culture. So just say you're absolutely right. I wouldn't do this, and then that's the end of it, Dave. So this guy goes, damn, your dumbass is still going to die in this hill, aren't you? White privilege at its finest. And then Dave says, white privilege in this case is a line used by someone who can't address history, doesn't know history, wrestling, or journalism. It's a desperation line. Try again by addressing history on how this has been done. Oh, man. Ja. Okay, Dave. And then he responds on Espanol. Dave says, so if you respect the culture, you're allowed to violate one of its most basic tenets of such culture. Just so I have that correct. He lost his mask in the match in the 90s by tradition, culture, lucha rules, blah, blah, blah. You were the one who didn't know the history of Rey Mysterio. Buddy, you just say, guys, Google Rey Mysterio, and then you'll know what happened. You can't even argue with this guy. And then this guy goes, Sean Ross says himself he's not a journalist, so you can't use that to defend him. What now? No, it's like, that's the dumbest thing. Hey, I chop wood all day. I'm not a lumberjack. Nope, I'm not a lumberjack. I just chop wood all day. And like, buddy, you're a fucking... So the thing is that Sapp reports on contracts. He has insider news. He has a paid thing where you can go and get insider scoops. He does interviews with wrestlers. He does pieces on wrestlers. He's a fucking Oh no, I'm not a journalist. I'm actually just I'm just a guy who I'm just on the internet. No, you're a journalist. You can't do a thing and then say you're not that fucking thing. Like, that's cooked. And then Dave says there in fact would be ignorant reporters who would laugh at me for covering wrestling, but Dave, they do laugh at you. But as far as the best, this article would probably explain what no one follows my career the closest would say succinctly. Dave knows enough to have taught classes on the subject and earned a wonderful living working in it and being meticulous to an insane degree regarding it. Dave, you're the least meticulous motherfucker. This is how meticulous Dave is. He sees a fucking post about a fake graphic saying Backlash in Japan. And then Dave goes, Backlash is in Japan. And then fucking he goes, it turns out that was fake. That's how meticulous you are, Dave. Holy shit, man. Oh my God, this is such an epic meltdown. On Nitro, they did an angle where blah, blah, blah. Dave says it was such a nothing. Okay, well, look here. So this guy quotes what Dave wrote about at the time. In the Observer, you wrote, many of whom were luchadors. You didn't name them. Was that you failing at journalism or applying ethics? And Dave went, it was such a nothing, I didn't give it a thought. Also, when Villano appeared on WCW programming under another name without his mask, I did, in fact, say it was Villano. Probably because it was an actual match and the other wasn't. Wasn't there, like, Volano 4 and 5 or whatever. So I have no idea why I didn't. I don't even remember it. It was hardly anything major. Nobody has brought it up in 30 years once. I wouldn't do what he did either, but that doesn't make it him wrong for doing it. Okay. There you go. And then Dave goes, now he responds to Alba, who's like, I've thankfully been mostly off the grid this last week, but if you're mad at a reporter for taking a screenshot of something that aired on national television, you need to shut off your phone. Dave goes, now spend the rest of the week being called a racist for stating the obvious. Oh, no. Okay, then he starts talking UFC. I think maybe that was the end of it. He says, I didn't disrespect either Mexican or American culture. I did nothing but explain that they are different. I'm different. When Americans don't understand Mexican culture for the last 40 years, I've explained it. In this case, I had to explain it the opposite. Oh, my God. You're such a spurg, Dave. This time I had to put that thing down, flip it, and reverse it, Bryan. I had to flip it around, and I'm the great reflector. I had to show you guys. Dude. If they were concerned, they'd edit the footage. Alba parodying it. All these dumb fucks just parrot the same shit and defend each other. More MMA talk. And I think that was the end of things. So, yeah. So he's just like, it's a weird one. Everyone thinks it's a non-story. Well, it's a story here at DMDMW. Wow, dude. That was pretty crazy. That was just the opening segment. There's about 200 watching. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit retweet, heart, all that good shit. 613-805 for 2 says, chat, run the likes up. Yeah, dude. Thank you very much. And run the likes up. Where the fuck is my yeah? Yeah. Next thing I knew, she was all up on me screaming, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck's going on with my soundboard. Cashman for 5 says, I love you, Phil, but please don't spend 45 minutes on a single topic rereading the same tweets over and over again. You're looping and spiraling. I didn't reread the same tweet. At one point, I reread 1 or 2 of the same things because it was a thread of things that we needed to follow. Dave was just looping and spiraling. Unfortunately, I don't know what to tell you, bud. There's 200 folks tuning in, so I think I got it locked in and I know what I'm doing here. But thank you. I very much appreciate you and your support. So guys, now let's get into some stuff. We got to talk about the Iconics. We got to talk about UFC or AEW, and we got to talk about a couple other things. David Finlay. We might not get to everything in the folder. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's just run a bassed flute because at the end of the day, Meltzer was doing okay. It was a totally, entirely off base with all of that stuff, okay? One thing that people are rather upset with are the Iconics, the IInspiration, okay? They debuted in AEW, and you knew Dave wasn't going to be a fan of that. I actually like the booking of how they booked it as far as them just getting their ass beat by the Brawling Birds, but I am not a fan of them just throwing the tag team rules out the fucking window to accomplish this. That didn't need to be the case. Do you know what I'm saying? So, let's get into, we're going to talk about Finlay, but first I just want to talk about the Iconics. So, again, I will reiterate, the Brawling Birds are the right ones to put over in this instance. However, you don't just not have them make quick tags in and out, hit their tag finish. You know what I'm saying? You got to fucking do it correctly. You can't just have it be like, well, tag shit doesn't matter, and they just get squashed. It's good that they got beat up the way they did and didn't get a single fucking move in, because you can't present the IInspiration as these guys are going to wrestle their asses off either, at least not right off the bat. Let's listen to Dave and Bryan's take. And we have a couple takes from them and just their report and whatnot.
They announced that the IInspiration would be debuting on Dynamite.
against the Brawling Birds. So they're going to lose. They're going to probably lose their first match.
I mean, I think they have to, but that's a regular thing in AEW. I'm not sure why the Inspiration are here, to be honest.
Well, I'm not either.
I saw them in TNA, and I was astounded when I heard that they might be coming in, and then they did.
This might be a based episode, man. Like, they're at least fucking keeping it real about the Inspiration. Like, and the AEW fans didn't go crazy for them either, which I actually was like, good, because if they did, then they're hacks. I said that. Like, that's just complete hack shit, and they didn't. They were like, okay, you're a WWE act. The same way WWE fans rejected Danhausen. I'm not going to say they were rejected, but Tone actually booked it well. These two are severely disappointed. I'm sure Dave, like he did with Bobby Lashley and MVP, advised Tone not to hire these guys, or these gals, rather.
Yeah. Well, they were the tag team champions. So I think Tony just wanted to sign the tag team champions, but man, I mean, they're a WWE act, and I don't know if they fit in with AEW, even though, there's always room for different, but not when different isn't good wrestling. In AEW, like, I don't think that, like, you can have personalities and stuff in AEW, of course, but if the wrestling isn't good in AEW, it just doesn't work.
Okay, but if the promos and vignettes or segments are good, you might get more casuals, which all the AEW promotions now and the whole we have cheaper tickets and everything everyone's saying in interviews, Dave, that shit is all trying to attract more casuals. They might do that. AEW needs that right now. So why don't you shut up? You're advising Tone into the toilet.
If they're there to lose, but we'll see. The Brawling Birds have something, though. They're good.
I mean, the Inspiration have something too, bud. It's just you want to see people do moves and knock each other out and shit. So we move along here, and I think there is another take here on the Inspiration in the match itself. Let's check in with Bryan and Dave.
The Inspiration debuted against the Brawling Birds. I could not believe the match was happening. I could not believe when I heard they were signed. And then I still couldn't believe when I actually saw the match. The Birds completely squashed them. Heart attack, double pinfall, went like a minute.
Yeah.
Even the prelim wrestlers get more than the Inspiration did. How much are they being paid?
I don't know.
To be jobbers?
I don't know.
I mean, oh my God.
Well, I mean, the whole thing was just
David is hat. Listen, he is Tony, pardon me, pronouns pal, is a fucking money mark, and you know it, Dave. Just admit it. Well, how much are they being paid to just take losses, to be jobbers? When has that ever mattered before? That was always the thing about Tone that made him cool to everybody. Or that made people want to work for him. And that was such a flex for Dave. And it's so funny because it's like 3.6 million a week. And Dave knows that that's not fucking real, dude. He knows it now. It's why he stopped talking about that shit. And then he's got to be all like, oh, cumbersome when fucking Bryan's like, hey, well, how much are they being paid?
Them away from TNA when they were the tag team champions. So I think that's.
And then again, listen to the embellishment here. Well, he took them away when they were tag team champions. No, they dropped the belts. You would never say, well, Hobbs got taken when he was the trios champion by WWE. Dave didn't say that. And that's the fucking problem, how he just embellishes little things to like pepper it up, to make it like, well, AEW just straight up stole the tag champs. You mean to tell me that TNA wasn't going to crown, again, on the AMC show, like Ash and Heather by Elegance and M by Elegance and them, like that's their homegrowns, like Mike Santana. They spent that night trying to sort of get their homegrowns over and introduce, here's the new Elegance guy, and like everything surrounding that was like, here's our guys that we're running with going forward. So
some part of the deal, but the Brawling Birds are good. It's like they have really good chemistry. The people like them. They just come out there and they're just aggressive. It's a pretty cool act. They're I'd like to see them now against like the top teams, and obviously, we will be seeing them against Willow and Harley Cameron and Sky Blue and Julia Hart and all of it.
Why? Why do you want to see that, Dave? I just want to see them against these girls. I can barely remember their fucking names. I don't know about all that. I want to see the Brawling Birds get some wins. Sure, I'll watch that match where they beat them pretty definitively, and then they should just keep beating some of these teams pretty definitively, and then you have them really challenged by the tag champs or something. Like, just try and make a story of it. The Birds got something. Dave is right about that, but they need to do something more than just cut a promo in front of a stairwell or whatever.
Teams, but I think that like them with Willow and Harley Cameron against them, that's going to be good stuff. I expect them to be tag team champions.
Yeah, for sure. They should be sooner than later. But again, you have to build up to it and just don't jump the fucking gun. Speaking of jumping the gun, actually, no, we have one here from Mike Gilbert. And let's see, this might just be a reiteration.
The match was happening. I could not believe when I heard they were signed. And then I still couldn't believe when I actually saw the match. The Birds completely squashed them. Heart attack, double pinfall.
Yeah, we heard that.
From TNA when they were the tag team champions.
Yeah, so that's the same clip. And shout out Mike Gilbert for grabbing the audio before their clips drop. So also, your boy David Finlay showed up in AEW, right? And his name's Finlay, and he likes to fight. And Finlay signing with AEW, I think, is the right move. All of these fucking stories came out of like he chose one over the other, which is fine. The rumors are he was offered an NXT thing, and you got to see that coming. So he's going to make more money to just be like a main dude in AEW, or like at least a main dude in a trios match with maybe, I don't know, Bobby Lashley or Hangman Page or one of these trios. Okay, that's good for him. That's better for him than like, well, maybe not in the long run, but that's better for his bank account and him and his career right now. Like, he's had some hard-hitting Nuge matches. I don't think he's that old. David Finlay age. So it's like, let's say he signed. Yeah, he's 32, man. Tone's doing these shorter deals again now because that was preventing people from going there for a little bit as well. He wanted to lock people in for like 6 to 8 and shit like that. So let's say they have David Finlay for 3 years. And then he can dip out then, and maybe they look at him as a main roster guy then or something. That could work. He's with the Dogs. It's better that Gabe Kidd. They're just doing their New Japan shit. They're called not the War Dogs. They're just called the Dogs. Wow, great. Fucking the best guys, Tony Khan, the most creative, inventive, genius motherfucker of all time. Of all the times, right? But Finlay, him being with Connors and Kidd that's probably the move for him right now. 32 years old. He's got plenty of time. So, again, it's nothing unique or fresh, but they get a trios title. Maybe he breaks off. He gets a fucking singles run. Who knows where Tone values him? It doesn't really matter as long as he doesn't get any on him. And then he can kind of skate out after, maybe just go right to Raw or SmackDown. That's probably the right way to go. Because in NXT, let's face it, like how long until they just team him up with his brother and shit? But anyways, the stories are he was going to get paid way less in NXT. And we have a little bit more on that from Meltzer Said What, which we'll get into in a moment. But here's Dave and Bryan discussing it.
Who should hit the ring but the debuting David Finlay? He clobbers the babyface with a shillelagh. And him, Gabe Kidd, and Clark all celebrated together. They are all AEW now.
They are now the Dogs. Instead of the War Dogs, they're just the Dogs. And so the deal with
couldn't it come up with like a better, I know you guys aren't Bullet Club anymore. You're Bullet Club Gold. Now, Bullet Club Gold did rule. I'm not going to lie. But you're Bullet Club Gold, not Bullet Club anyway. It's just you're not the War Dogs. You're the Dogs now. Like, come on, don't.
Been talking
but it is better than some of these other. The Death Triangle. I know you're the Dog Triangle.
And he'd been talking to AEW. You've been talking to WWE, and AEW made the best offer of the three, and that's your answer. I believe that WWE did not make. The story going around was WWE did not make him a good offer. Now,
It looked like they wanted him to head up the that deal in NXT.
Oh, they wanted him to head up NXT. That deal, he'd be the leader of that thing.
Well, whatever
The
it
group
was.
of second generation.
Yeah. Well,
Because his brother said, I'm going to go talk to my dad because we need a leader.
Yeah. Well, it could have been what they were expecting. And the deal, I mean, it's as soon as I think they knew he wasn't coming, we started with this, we didn't really want him stuff. We want
Who the fuck? Hold on, Dave. Whoa. Who started with that? One more time.
We started with this, we didn't really want him stuff. We wanted him in NXT and lowball, we didn't offer him anything.
Oh, he's just making shit up now. Oh my God.
And it may even be true, but that's just interesting how the timing of everything
Wow.
was.
Whoever
But,
said, I don't think anybody ever put that out there, but you just now, Dave.
all three groups, they were interested. AEW was the most interested, and that's where he went.
Yeah, I guess offering the most money does mean you're the most interested or the most desperate.
Who should hit the ring?
It all depends. But Meltzer said he does a great job of just sort of showcasing, highlighting how this stuff goes down. So Meltzer said what the GOAT points out. It's hilarious that people don't still recognize the game the media plays on Tony's behalf. 1, free agent has major interest. Expected to sign with WWE. 2, it's back and forth down to the wire. 3, oh my God, what a devastating blow to the WWE. They are all elite. AR Gold. In fairness, AR Gold's not a fucking dirt sheet, but I think Sap got into it with Meltzer said what over this shit too. Hopped in his DMs and started fucking melting down on him. AR Gold says, according to Dave Meltzer, David Finlay is expected to sign with WWE. Sap says David Finlay is in AEW. And then Sportskeeda says Tony Khan might deal a major blow to the WWE by signing the legend Fit Finlay's son, David Finlay, to AEW. David has been a major star and blah, blah, blah. So he's just showing you kind of the game that they run. And then he says, here's a hint for future free agent signings. When someone actually is going to WWE, there's never any media language like expected to, shown major interest from both sides, etc. It will simply be flat out stated that they are going to WWE, full stop. Tony Khan says, they made their presence known on Dynamite tonight. And now it's official, the dogs. So again, just highlighting, Tony Khan has allegedly stopped using 32-year-old in AEW as he's likely to join WWE reports. So he's just pointing out, they're pretty definitive when they go to WWE. And then he goes, guys, SRS is very angry in my DMs that I used a screenshot of Finlay's debut. For the record, I only used his post to show the debut, but since he's now being a psycho and demanded I produce a clip of Dave, I tried to ruin SRS's career 6 years ago. Meltzer, here you go. Okay, well, what is this? Let's hear this clip here. This is much juicier than I thought.
And finally, why is David Finlay the only member of the War Dogs hasn't appeared on AEW TV? Could his brother and father being signed at WWE have something to do with it?
I don't really know.
Well, I don't think it's anything to do with WWE because, Dustin was a double champion before he got injured.
Yeah. But maybe there's the feeling that David is going to end up in WWE and Tony doesn't.
So look at that. Maybe there's a feeling Dave's going to end up in fucking WWE.
Want to use him. I don't know that. I'm not saying that. But that could be. Tony Khan doesn't want to use people who are going to go to WWE, even though it's inevitable.
He doesn't want to use people that are going to go to WWE. So everyone on his roster. So everyone there who wasn't previously
the best guys,
WWE,
Tony Khan.
He doesn't want on his roster. Crazy.
The guys he's using will end up in WWE just because of how wrestling works. But it's like,
Because of
if
how
you're pretty
wrestling
sure
works.
they're going to go, then why use them? So I think maybe his feeling is
Did
that
you beat him on the way out like in every other territory in the history of mankind?
yeah, but not for a guy who's not even in your territory. That's a different story. if it's someone under your contract, yeah, of course you could do that.
So just highlighting the speculation, and then Meltzer said what goes game, set, match. And then he pulls up. And this is because Sapp asked him, he's like, prove it. Where did Dave say this anywhere? And he was like, Finley's own reps couldn't find the clip of anywhere that Dave said he might go to WWE. And then Meltzer said what? Pulled his shit. And it's like, this is why the sheets, again, they're so cooked. It's like, okay, A, why is Finley's reps talking to any dirt sheet? And B, so Sapp's so naive that he doesn't think that people's reps would lie to him for their client or to keep shit secret. Like, they're not just going to stooge everything to dirt sheets. You guys don't. Why do you think just because you talk to the rep means that they're going to be fully transparent and just blow up their client spot because it's you? Like, what do you mean? They didn't even look for the clip because Meltzer said what, just found an audio clip and a fucking written down excerpt. Finlay is booked on 2/27 in Trenton, New Jersey, but has been expected to go to WWE. Oh my God. And then Meltzer said what, post LMFAO, I couldn't script this any better. And then a screen grab report. Why David Finlay? And this is in the midst of this whole drama, I think, right? Because, like, I can't really see. Like, Sapp, I'm pretty sure, has me blocked on, like, everything. And I have him fucking blocked, too, because he was unblocking and responding to my shit and then fucking blocking me again. So, report. Why David Finlay decided to join AEW over WWE. And this happened, like, in the midst of the scuffle or whatever between these guys. So, I don't know. It's pretty funny, man. It's pretty funny how Meltzer said what just fucking pwns people. Like, the guy's too good at clipping all of this stuff. So you can't really fuck with him on that. Like, if he says Dave said something, you best believe that he will track it down. If he doesn't have it on hand, he'll dig it up, man. He'll pull it out and fucking show you. Pause. Right? Oh, good stuff. So, in other Observer news, Dave Meltzer talked about RAF and MMA and UFC and Paramount a little bit and weighed it against AEW and was like, well, if it boils down to UFC and AEW collision on a Saturday night, basically, he's like actually weighing that out in his mind. Like, it wouldn't just be Paramount. If they even keep AEW around, wouldn't just go, we're picking UFC, buddy. But he also commented on RAF, Real American Freestyle. Now, do you guys remember when Dave Meltzer was like, if Eric Bischoff and Conan want to prove Tony Khan wrong, now they have the chance, Bryan? You guys remember that? Well, RAF is a huge thing just in the martial arts community in general. Like, all the big name fighters go out to it. All the legends and all the like current UFC fighters are a part of it. The tippy top, like Armin Sarukian's like fucking could be world champion right now. And in the UFC, and he's competing in RAF, and he's like there's like beefs breaking out. And I'm not saying I want it all to just be shoving and beefs and guys punching each other and shit, but there's serious conversation about possibly these two guys fighting now because of an RAF mishap or match. Now they're talking about, we want to fight in the UFC. It's actually crazy. Bischoff's blowing up. He's got something here. He's bringing excitement back to amateur fucking wrestling, dude. It rules so hard. And I'm curious how that works too. Like, can RAF assemble a team and be like, we're going to fucking do a team style thing eventually too? That could be crazy. Some team wars or like challenge other, I don't know if you can be like, we want to challenge the RAF team against the fucking whatever, the Russians or this is the 80s, the Russians, you know, like we want to wrestle like a country's Olympic team in like a tournament or some sort of thing. I wonder if that's all in the future, if it's just like super fights and super matches. I don't know, but he's got it going on right now. Just keep doing what you're doing. You're only like fucking 5-6 events in, right? So RAF rules. And then Conan, look at what's going on with AAA. So that shit just blew up in Dave's face, and you really think he would be putting over just how good RAF does, but he really doesn't. He only comments on it when people drop out or in Bischoff books to older UFC guys and then Dave goes, I don't think anyone's really interested. I mean, this match at their peak would have been, and it's like, no, Dave, at their peak, people wanted to see them fight in the octagon. Now that Colby Covington's a little older, yeah, I'll watch him wrestle. That's super compelling to me. Anyways, Meltzer, if you're a martial arts fan, you're like, that rules. Meltzer on Sarukian at RAF Riot, because there was a riot. If you guys didn't see the footage, I might have played it on PWT. If I didn't, shame on me. But Dave says, if I were RAF, I would not use him again. Sarukian. I'm sure they will, because it's Eric's company. So this is what Dave's already planning to do. I promise you guys this. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know, but I fucking am calling it right now. Here's a fantasy Mark Booker. Dave is gonna, or this will be one of the voted upon. Maybe it doesn't come in first because the year's still early, but it will be one of the most disgusting promotional tactics when Bischoff inevitably brings Sarukian back. Arman Sarukian. He will bring him back, maybe even do this rematch, and Dave will call it a disgusting promotional tactic. Just so we can bury Bischoff. I'm fucking telling you right now, that's what's going to happen. Oh, come on now, Eric. But yeah, he's like, it's one of the most blatant things I've seen. He will love the publicity, but that was one of the most blatant things I've ever seen. Buddy, they are two guys who were wrestling, and it got so heated that they want to throw hands. Stop being a little bitch, Dave. And what do you mean? Don't bring him back. It's two guys who got too heated for a wrestling match. And also, Sarukian and his corner sort of started the fight. I would say they were more aggressive once the brawl broke out. However, it was Goulas. Oh, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Who was like hitting Sarukian, like poked him in the eyes and shit, and was like shoving him in the fucking head instead of keeping it below the neck and stuff. So yeah, I mean, he instigated it. So if Dave really said that, I mean, maybe that random account just pulled a fake quote. But again, we have been, Bischoff and fucking Conan have been absolutely mogging Dave Meltzer with the success of AAA and RAF. So moving along, Dave talks about if Paramount decides to put some UFC events on cable, what would that mean for AEW? It's like, buddy, it means AEW's off the air. Don't even talk like this. How about if Paramount gets this shit, they're going to kick AEW off the fucking air because they're all friends with TKO and Ari Emanuel and all these fucking guys. I wouldn't even be talking about what happens to AEW Collision because every UFC is on a Saturday, more or less. I think some technically will happen on a Sunday if they're like in Australia or some shit. You know, if they're across the planet, yeah, you might get one. Sometimes there's a random Friday. That's so rare, though. Back in the day, I think it happened a few more times, but on average, then you would find it happening now. But either way, it's Saturday is UFC's day. Collision would just move if they even kept it around, Dave. This shouldn't even be something entering your fucking mind.
When they talked about UFC, one of the things that they talked about was the idea that we can put UFC back on cable. So now they're talking about, well, we could put some shows on, CBS. We can start putting the shows on Saturday nights on TNT. But when you said Saturday night on TNT, all of a sudden it's like, well, it's on Saturday night on TNT.
All of a sudden it's like, well, it's on Saturday night. Yeah, to you, everybody else, Dave, 3 years ago was like, well, Collision's not going to. When did Collision come out? When did Punk get kicked out of? It's been 2 years now, right? 3 years, 2 years that Punk's been out of AEW. Once that happened, everyone went, oh, yeah, Collision's going to get rampaged. So you've already moved it to Thursdays. Tone's already moved it to behind Wednesdays and Thursdays. This is not even a 1 minute clip, Dave. This should just be, well, UFC takes priority. Boom. That's the end of it.
So that could be bad. It could be good.
Could be bad or good.
Things. If they're going to do a regular thing, then that's 43 weeks a year. If they're going to do it like once a month, it's 12 weeks a year. AEW, if they go, let's say they go 7 to 9 and AEW goes 9 to 11, With the
Dave, this is AEW's 9/11. Okay, they're cooked.
The best
bro.
guys,
It's
Tony
like,
Khan.
what are you even talking about? It would be a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. It ain't that hard to choose. It would be 1 millisecond that they just go, okay, well, peace out, AEW. Like, it would be a no thought in anyone's mind.
UFC lead-in, that's
A
great for
UFC lead-in. That's great for Collision. No, you don't want that. You do not want the UFC fan. Let me tell you something right now. And this happened with Spike TV when you had pro wrestling on at the same time and UFC was really prominent on Spike. Jim Cornette's told these stories too about the Spike TV execs. He's like, they would come in and see Vince Russo and what the fuck he was writing. And I knew fucking they were going over and telling the UFC people how this dumb fuck, the wrestling business, you don't want the UFC fans making fun. Maybe I'm wrong and like there's more crossover now. So maybe I'm wrong, but you don't want them making fun of AEW. If it was WWE, Dave, I'd be like, okay, there's enough crossover with pro wrestling and WWE. But with AEW, you do not want to send Orange Cassidy out there after a UFC fight or whatever, Dave. You really don't want to do that. That'd be so humiliating. Please don't advise. Don't tell Tone to do that, please. For the love of God, don't encourage him. That is not right.
AEW. Their numbers will be up. If they go,
not that Tone would even have any say, but you guys know what I'm saying. Like, Dave just gives the worst advice and has the worst ideas when it comes to that.
10 and AEW goes 10 to midnight.
It would look good for artificially inflated overall viewership, which is what Dave wants to report on. So he's just looking out for his best interest. Nobody would take this seriously.
The first hour will be up, but that 11 to midnight probably won't do so well. They could cancel AEW, or they could move it to Thursday, which would be a better night anyway for them. They could move AEW to TBS. There's so many different ways that this could go, some of which, again,
in 1 year's time, Collision, let's say it's still around, let's say AEW's still on TNT, TBS, and all that shit. Collision versus TNA head-to-head on Thursdays. I love it. But for right now, I just want to see TNA kind of build a little bit as they have been.
Which could be, they just go, hey, we're going to put the UFC on. It's going to draw more viewers than AEW and get rid of Collision. That's the worst case scenario. For
who?
AEW.
For AEW, yeah, thank you. For who?
Scenario is, it gets the UFC lead in and Collision will be a stronger show for it. So,
because people leave their TVs on, it makes them a stronger show because people go, oh, the first hour that people, while they're, cleaning up their dishes or they leave their TVs on, they go outside to whatever the fuck they're, the TV's still on the first hour. There's some of that bleed over. No one's actually watching it, or they're just laughing at it, lampooning it. Oh, that'll make it a stronger show in these artificially inflated Nielsen panel data that I say is fraudulent unless when it fucking looks good for AEW. God damn it, Dave.
That was probably the most significant thing when it came to AEW.
Was UFC and Paramount
when they.
So I think there's a little bit more on this. I think he talks a little bit more about this. I might be off. Oh, yeah. So he wrote Collision did 365.06. I can't even recall the last time they did a number that good against a WWE PLE event. That's the TNT number, not including HBO Max. Okay. Somebody underneath this said the UFL does double that and nobody watches that. Never listen to a guy who has no presence in the real world outside of Twitter and dancing on the tip of AEW to an audience of nerds. Jay Love podcast. Shout you out. That's a great one. And yeah, I just quote tweeted this or I screen grabbed it rather because I can't quote tweet Meltzer. And I was like, he's sweating Paramount canceling this show, dude. And it's true. Like, even that 1 minute clip, like, Dave, here's the worst case scenario. Dave, go with worst case scenario. Visualize that one, because that's what it is if Paramount gets a hold of WB. Speaking of which,
well, but it's
here is their take on it. What does the potential WBD Paramount deal mean for AEW? Let's listen to Dave and Bryan's interpretation.
WBD is going to Paramount. In the big picture, I think it's terrible, but it's good if you're a wrestling fan. There's very little overlap, shockingly little overlap between the subscriber base of.
So it's terrible overall. So is Dave trying to stick up for Hollywood? Like, why are they trying to say it's terrible overall? I think they're all like Alba and Meltzer and them are like, fuck, that means AEW. It's terrible for AEW. It has to be that, because it's like Paramount is going to do more theatrical releases, or at least people trust them to do more theatrical releases than Netflix would. And also Paramount's like, oh yeah, that John Cena. Now, this was reported a long time ago. Like, people were going to get this movie out there one way or the other. But that John Cena Acme, Wile E. Coyote fucking Looney Tunes movie that he did, I think that's like, how long did he do that movie ago? Like, how many years? Like 3 years or whatever? That shit's going to come out and things like that. And it's going to go to theaters, I think, still as well. So Paramount, people at least trust them to do more theatrical releases than Netflix, even though Netflix is like, no, we're going to do theater runs. It's like, I wouldn't trust them fully on that. So Dave is saying this is terrible. And people are like, it's terrible, but for what? Like, for wrestling fans? But then Dave just said, if WBD gets bought up by Paramount, that's good for wrestling fans. I'm not sure necessarily how that would be the case either. I think having, at least as far as, it's good for wrestling fans. Why? Let's just listen. Let's hear them out here, because I think if everything's just in one place, that's the best for fans. If you're just thinking like a consumer, everything's just on Netflix, AEW, WWE, WCW, MLW. If it was all just on one thing, that would rule. I'd pay for that every month if every wrestling was on one thing. So that would be the most ideal, Dave. Let's say Paramount does keep AEW around, then is that good for me? And like, I'm a wrestling fan. Now I got to switch over to Paramount Plus, and I was just watching it on HBO Max and shit. I don't know if that's the best for fans. I digress. Let's hear Dave.
HBO Max and the subscriber base of Paramount Plus. So if
and so they will just absorb all of those. So like, that's the thing too. Are they able to just merge? Are they able to just be like, okay, Paramount Plus will merge with HBO Max, so you don't have to re-sign up or sign up for anything new. We're just launching this app, and if you use your current info, you can just log in. I'm sure they have that down. So maybe that is seamless in that instance,
If they do merge and merge subscriptions and everything like that, it would be a much larger, whatever they want to call it, the new streaming service would have much more viewership, which in a sense,
Dave, it would have 1.4%. We have tracked this on PWT Live every Wednesday and Saturday, and here on DMDMW every Thursday, Time Cop. It's 1.4% is what WBD adds to the entire pie of the Nielsen, at least what Nielsen tracks of the streaming. So is that a lot of people? Yes. Does that mean he's going to try and flip that into AEW, has a bajillion more viewers? That's what he would try and do if this wasn't like a backdoor AEW's getting booted off the air. Paramount does not fuck with Tony Khan and them, dude.
Would mean more people with access to AEW than ever before. A lot more. AEW, when their deal is up.
So what is this, like a fucking different day? Is this like a wardrobe change? Is this a whole different day? The graphic flips up. Okay, here we go. They're getting their editing in, dude.
And I'm going to guess that they'll, it's end of 2027, but I'm going to guess that if Paramount gets it, they'll take the option. So it's end of 2028.
So they'll take the option. So Dave thinks that even there's an option and Paramount will throw them a bone, take the option and keep it on the air, where Tony Khan called the people who are in charge of making these calls go to lunch with Ari Emanuel and Dana White and shit. I've said this a million times. Fucking Tony Khan's called these people Harvey Weinsteins and all of this shit over the years. And they are going to take the option and just play AEW on Paramount Plus for Paramount Plus subscribers and try and host their pay-per-views and shit. Like, what do you mean, bro? I just don't know. I really don't know. And then does this mean Paramount owns that anywhere from 5 to some people are now speculating 25%? That could be true. I don't fucking know. Likely not. I'm willing to say likely not nearly that high, but maybe it is. As we've broken down again on PWT Live Show, it's like, do they own all of that too? So then they have an ownership stake in AEW. So then wouldn't they just go, TKO, come buy this shit from this kid and get the library, and let's just, like, wouldn't they look at it and as almost as that would be the play? I'm thinking like these dudes are doing 4D chess. I'm sure a guy like Nicolo Piccolo has a thread where this shit's broken down really well. And if you asked him for a prediction, maybe, I don't know, like, don't you think they would just try and swoop in and go, let's just take this away from Tone's hands here because his fate is in our hands? Like, he really thinks they're going to pick up the option on AEW and keep them on the air one more year so MJF can talk about how the people they're in bed with are gouging an arm and a leg and doing too many ads, and fuck those guys for selling. You have to sell your soul and your baby to get a ticket to their shows. Yeah, they really want to keep working with those guys. And maybe they do, but they tell them to shut the fuck up, and it's under WWE's thumb in some capacity too. Like, you don't think that could be an outcome, especially with all the conspiracy theories levied against WWE? Dave is staying so optimistic about AEW right now. And I'm not even trying to be doom and gloom. I'm just saying, like, look, dude, I wouldn't even be talking about the option. I'd be like, hopefully they make it through this and don't have to go to Amazon and try and beg everybody, all the subscribers, to go over to Amazon and start watching AEW.
I mean, I don't want to say their value will be way up because, end of 2028, that's a whole new world and so much can happen the way things change on a weekly basis. I mean, the numbers do keep going up though. And AEW is already in the way the company is run, it's already in a good financial position. And if it can go,
oh my God, because Tony has a lot of money, it's in a good financial position because his dad has a lot of money.
Get another big raise in 2028.
Oh my God, Paramount is Dave thinks that they'll get a big raise if they shop it around. Are they going to get more than 185 million? No.
I mean, it's not like it's going to be,
and it wasn't even 185 million. I think somebody pulled an article where they think it was actually more like 135 to 140 or something that has actually been like paid out or whatever the fuck. So I don't know, man. It's just a mess.
Profitable like TKO, but it's going to be smooth streaming. It already is smooth streaming, but it'll probably get smoother streaming. Now, of course, it can always collapse.
It should be smooth streaming, but it could collapse. Oh yeah, dude. I mean, everything should be okay, but if we die, don't fucking call me an asshole. Hey, everybody, follow me this way. It should be all good. But it also could just cave in and we all fall into the pits of hell. Holy fuck, man. That is so funny. Let's bring that back. It should be really smooth, but it could collapse. I need that for the soundboard, guys. That is so fucking good. That is so good.
Like TKO, but it's going to be smooth streaming. It already is smooth streaming, but it'll probably get smoother streaming. Now, of course, they can always collapse, and lose value. I mean, if things happen, if they're not on the ball or
they're not on the ball already, Dave.
Things happen. Wrestling loses popularity. Wrestling's cyclical.
If all of wrestling loses its popularity, okay, Dave, then what do you call it when wrestling's really popular but AEW and ROH aren't? What happens then?
Would you please shut the hell up?
It's smooth sailing from here, except for that fucking tidal wave that's coming up but the ship could go down, just so you guys know. Never say never. Am I right, guys? Shit. So, in other AEW stuff, we'll talk more about AEW here. So Dave Meltzer had this to say, or actually he gave star ratings wise, pardon me, 5 stars to the Mile High Madness match between Jungle Jack Perry, the Bucks, the Rascals, FTR, and the Demand. And so we got a list here of just how fraudulent Dave Meltzer is. And this is courtesy of the Drain Maker. Wasn't he Drain Damager or Brain Damager or some shit like that? Whatever, it doesn't matter. So this 5-star match gives AEW their 15th 5-star match, or pardon me, the Bucks their 15th 5-star match. The 8th 5-star match for FTR. The 4th 5-star match for Ricochet. The 2nd 5-star match for Jack Perry. And the first ever 5-star match for the Rascals and the Gates of Agony. So the Gates of Agony are having matches with Lashley and them. Very physical. They're 2 big dudes. They're not selling this goofy, flippy shit that's overdone. The Rascals, I'm going to just be honest right now. Everything they're doing in AEW, they did before. It's all been done. It's been, and I'm not saying they suck or are boring or anything. It's been done in NXT and TNA and the Indies and all over the fucking place. And it ruled then. So yeah, it's going to rule now, but Dave wasn't giving it 5 fucking stars. He wasn't giving any of these guys 4 or 5 there, and they weren't sniffing it. Gates of Agony. Were they getting 5 stars before when they're fighting Lashley and these guys with actual psychology and shit? Come on, Dave Meltzer. Like, that's actually fucking kooky, bro. The Gates of Agony. How many 5 stars does Kurt Angle have? I don't think he ever got one, right? So Gates of Agony. Toa Leone and Bishop Khan have a 5-star match and Kurt Angle doesn't. It just that just can't be accurate. Maybe it could. Maybe if there was like a ton of heat and a bunch of people bought tickets to see this match particularly, and there's so much fucking heat on this mega team up match, maybe. But Dave puts, even though he says it's based on how the crowd's move, he has no fucking, none of his star rating, nothing of what he factors into good wrestling goes into the actual drama and the heat that's garnered. It's just moves that they do. So that's pretty crazy. But speaking of the craziness, like, look at this, dude. So Drainmaker, again, shout him out. Drainmaker's not too offensive, right? Like, he stands the fuck out of AEW and shit. He doesn't really talk about WWE unless it's like pointing out what an X, like he'll kind of like laugh at an AEW guy. And it is kind of sicko bot behavior, but it's just that. He's just like a bot that posts stats and shit about AEW or little factoids or clips. I don't really care. That's not the most egregious thing. It's when you're like clearly doing a grift like AAR Gold. It's clownish. It's like, don't bookmark them. Just screen grab them. Don't interact with their shit. Whereas Drainmaker, it's like, whatever. He's not in there arguing and responding with people. Who knows who runs this account? Doesn't really matter. But, because people have said it might be Tony Khan's burner and shit. And it's like, whatever, dude. He just posts like factoids and he likes AEW. It's like hardly an offense, you know? This is like a proper type of sicko. So at least so far, I don't know if he's melted down. Hey, in the past, I don't know. In 2020, did he say some crazy shit? I have no fucking clue. I'm just saying as of now, as this account is operated now. So anyways, promotions with the most 5-star rated matches in history. Okay. New Japan Pro Wrestling, 106. So right there, it just tells you everything you need to know. All Elite Wrestling in the last 7 years, 64. They average almost, in the last 7 years, they average almost 10. Obviously less than that, but they average almost 10 5-star matches a fucking year. That's pretty crazy, man. And we're not even at the full 7 years yet. I keep saying that 2019, because it wasn't a full year. I forget exactly the month. What was it? When did they start again? Like October, May? I don't even remember. But 64, dude, in the last 6 years, 6, 7 years, 6, 7. That's pretty crazy. Like, if that doesn't tell you, okay, they're just doing the New Japan style over here, and it's your favorite New Japan wrestlers now who are doing shit in AEW. And then look at the next thing. All Japan has 38. So a Fed that doesn't even exist in the capacity it did back in the day. Like, not even close to what it was. Because I think there is All Japan, I think, is still around, right? Like, they still are running shows and shit. It's just nowhere near what it used to be. And Dave, it still ranks higher than WWE. Now, I'm not even one of these fucking WWE glazers. I'll criticize them, guys. I will criticize their shitty matches. I'll call shit out. I'll fucking, when they're going too hard, like Dragunov's really beating up half the roster. I even call that shit out. It's like, damn, I would call that out in AEW. I'm not going to not call it out here. Whatever the fuck. And fuck my call outs. Who cares what I'm calling out? It's just my opinion, right? I'm just a dude on the internet talking shit. But like at the end of the day, man, some of the greatest wrestling matches and memories of all fucking time because of the matches themselves are in WWE, buddy. I don't know. And I think Dave rates everything too high. I think too many Feds have too many 5 stars. But for All Japan to still be beating WWE, Dave, you really haven't liked WWE that much. And then he cops out and goes, well, I give them a lot of 4 stars. Okay. You mean to tell me Kurt Angle's never had 1 5-star? Like, even if you can't name one, chat, where you're like, oh yeah, that's a fucking 5-star match of Kurt Angle. Even if you can't think of one off the top of your head, there's no fucking way these companies have this many in comparison if Kurt Angle doesn't have any. Do you know what I'm saying? There's certain guys that like, well, what's the bar here? What are we talking about? Because, and this isn't a cultural, you're just ignorant thing that Dave would do that people did to him and he spurged out about. It's just like, come on, man. At some point, you have to be honest here that you're just overrating shit that you like, and that's fine. But then don't claim to be the objective fucking guy. Because that's what Dave does. And he condescends people who question this. And Bryan Alvarez goes, well, it's just Dave's opinion. And it's like, yeah, but Dave doesn't say that. If you say that to Dave, he melts down on you like he did on Giga Chad Van Vliet. Which that bonus episode of DMDMW is getting uploaded right away to Patreon as well, of the watch along of his infamous Giga Chad Van Vliet interview there. And so, again, we just look at this, and this doesn't matter. Like, All Japan Women is 19, Ring of Honor has 11, CMLL 9, WCW has 7, Stardom 6, AAA 6, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla. So again, WCW, what, in its lifetime or just when Bischoff was running it, 7? In its lifetime, 7? Whoa. Dave just hated WCW, man. Like, how the fuck else does that work out here? So here's Dave and Bryan just glazing this Mile High Madness match, and shout out the Rascals. They really rule.
This was a mini version of Anarchy in the Arena. I mean, these guys fought everywhere. They did everything. Bodies were flying everywhere.
This match was actually quite fantastic.
This was an incredible match. And the astounding thing about it is this was a legitimate mile-high match. They were at altitude. And they were sprinting this entire match. Everybody was going as fast as they could. I was told that, may not have noticed it on television, but they were dying when this match was over.
Man, I remember
that's at altitude, bud.
AWA guys back in the day when they would come to Denver. Oh my God, it was tough. I mean, have you ever trained in altitude?
Okay, so we watched this clip. We watched this clip, I think, like the other week or whatever. But he's like talking about, have you ever trained at altitude, Bryan, and all this shit? And it's like, again, then watch Shoot Fighting, because this isn't a fucking reason to be like, man, and this match was better because they were dying and they were, and I'm sure Dave factored that in. Listen to how they're glazing this match. Meanwhile, like, was it even that memorable? They do so much crazy, chaotic shit in AEW. It's just like, another Dynamite, That's how I felt about it. So it is what it is, man. To each their own. But the altitude, like, okay, unless you're really fighting each other, shut the fuck up. Unless this is like an actual, we cross the line into, it's not just sports and entertainment, but it's fucking sports. Then, like, who cares, man? Like, just manage your stamina and don't blow yourself up. Fucking Jey Uso gets blown up, not at altitude. He can still get over. It's about getting over and getting heat. Did that accomplish that? Shut up, man. Like, Dave just wants to see people really fight each other and, you know, and fucking all the altitude like it's a shoot. And it is a shoot. The bumps and the bruises and the miles are a shoot, but come on, man.
Yes.
It's a weird one because it's like,
we don't know. We listened to this, I think, the other week with the altitude and shit. He just wants it to be a shoot so bad. Okay, so we move along here and more AEW stuff. So again, Dave posted this. The collision number on Saturday was the best collision number against the WWE PLE ever since August 5th. And the percentage drop from normal levels was the lowest in the history of the program against a PLE. Okay. So there you go. That's his nitpick. And then Switchblade says, so ratings are by total viewers again now, Dave? Oh, shit. See, this is the stuff you need guys out there to fucking pull Dave's card, because it's like, it's too much to remember all of this. So again, it's by total viewers again now, huh? I think I have another Switchblade one here. He goes, for those wondering, yeah, Collision September 2nd, 23, did 345K 0.11 versus WWE Payback. On October 7th, 23, Collision did 353.9 versus Fastlane. Yet Dave considers 365.6 to be the better numbers. What happened to ratings being by the demo, or do you shift? Oh, dude. Yes.
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
So this is the infamous, for those of you who don't know, you guys have to know this. It's just a staple in Dave Meltzer lore. Let's take you back. He famously said, poor people don't like hate. That's famous too, but he famously said that it's by total viewers. Like years and years ago, that's what matters when it comes to a wrestling show. It's just total viewers. Then when AEW became a thing, he said it's by key demo, Brian. It's the key demo. And he's been saying that for years now. Whereas prior to that, he was saying for years, it's the total viewers that matter most. Now, Switchblade pulls his fucking card, and now it's again, he flip-flopped on it one more time, like a dying fish, a dried up fish on a dock, and he flip-flopped on it, and it is now once again the total viewership for Dave Meltzer. Whenever he can point to it as being a positive for AEW, he does. And he won't even address this because he doesn't study and learn, and he fears flutes.
Just in, we have confirmed that Dave Meltzer fears PWT and flutes.
He had a Cuervo with him the whole time, too.
So again, Collision, September 2nd, 23, did 345.11 versus Payback. October 7, 23, Collision did 353.09 versus Fastlane. Yet Dave considers 365.06 to be better numbers. What happened to ratings being by the demo, or did you shift with what's best for AEW? Got him. Fuck. So we move along here. Oh, yeah, we skipped this one. I'm going to have to take note of this here. So I skipped over this, and this pertains to the MMA stuff we were talking about. And this part's really quick, right? Just going to make note of this. So what happened was Dave had this to say. And he just goes on this meltdown about this. And then I hit him with the poor people don't like AEW. And again, 15 or 7.8K views for me. And then 125. He had 15K views, 59 likes. So a solid hearty ratio there. But this is what Dave Meltzer had to say. So front row Bryan says, and UFC fans are high income. They're not the losers watching AEW. So again, the UFC fans are high income. They're not the losers watching AEW. That's Fight Oracle as well. I think that guy used to be called Fight Oracle. I think he switched his handle up, and he has some pretty good and aggressive takes when it comes to like MMA shit, you know, and pro wrestling in general. I think he just doesn't follow pro wrestling because he's like, dude, there's too many fucking type thing, right? So, you know what Dave would say?
Poor people don't like AEW.
An actual quote from Dave Meltzer. And now listen to this. Based on a survey done this past month in the U.S. and not yet released, MMA fans, in fact, average $12,000 more in household annual income than pro wrestling fans. And again, this is some shit not released. Like, how the fuck do you know, buddy? I just don't trust Dave till it comes out. Although AEW TV viewers have been shown in prior surveys and Nielsen ratings of TV viewers to have an average income of several thousand more than WWE. Dave, there's way more WWE viewers, and so the average is going to be brought down. And I also don't even believe you when you say this, Dave. I know you like to think that all WWE fans are just retard drones, brokies who fucking live in the ghetto and live in trailer parks and live in the backwoods, and you're sitting atop this fucking high mountain in space on the moon looking down at everyone with your nose up in the air with your fucking opinions on pro
poor
wrestling.
People don't like AEW.
Sorry, I got worked up there, but like, I don't even believe this. And hey, by the looks of these fucking ticket sales and the way you guys are going, hey, we got $10 tickets and our tickets are cheaper. Apparently fucking rich people don't like the shit either. So why don't you shut up?
Bitch.
Rich people don't like AEW either, bud. So he goes, such a sir. And again, who, not to get off this, but like, I'm about to have a meltdown here. So then who are all these people spending this money? Like, I can't afford to go to WrestleMania and all this fucking shit. That's crazy. You know, with the travel and everything, that's like fucking nuts, man. That would be a huge hit to my fucking pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is a big that'd be like a big deal for every average person out there, Dave. So like, who are these rich people going to these WWE shows where they're selling out everywhere and doing 40,000 2 nights of Mania? Like, what are you talking about? And these surveys are likely bullshit when it comes to you, Dave. Even when ESPN did the survey about how WWE fans have higher IQs on average than other sports fans, like WWE fans, and they didn't say pro wrestling fans, they said WWE, ESPN did like a survey research thing where they ranked the average IQ of all of the different sports, and WWE ranked the highest on that. So does that even apply to just pro wrestling in general? I don't know. Maybe Lex.
I don't know.
Me neither, bud. But like, what is your survey? Who conducted that shit? Probably some fucking redacts who love AEW, you know? Such a survey would be heavily weighted toward WWE income since it has far more fans. It would be weighted toward WWE? No, Dave, I'm pretty sure the more people there are, it would bring the average down just based off the vast difference in the number of people who like fucking WWE compared to AEW, but I would say MMA and WWE are more even. It's just that in MMA, there's not these, like, you don't care or know about these other feds and leagues. You're not trying to compare UFC to anything. And combat sports have always been more of like a hoity-toity everyone, you look at old boxing photos and it's just everyone wearing tuxedos and shit. And that's what it is now, just because it's like these influencers fucking who were born, these Gen Zers or whatever, who were born fucking TikTok dancing when they come out the womb. You know what I'm saying? And they're just wearing like white tees and shit. Doesn't mean it's not the same sort of elitist type of thing. It's celebrities and fucking influencers and stuff. So I just think Dave's talking out his ass. Even so, MMA fans would probably be ahead of AEW fans. Not probably, but hardly by a significant amount. Both groups would be slightly below the current national average. And meanwhile, like they're not buying the tickets. They have all this money, Dave, that you keep making up. All these views and all this money, but they're not buying the tickets. They're not buying the merch. They can't even find the merch. They're not watching the show as much that anybody can prove. They're buying less pay-per-views unless we're to believe your number tricks and anomalies and the percentages of this shit. And they're not illegally streaming, Dave, either? You mean to tell me that these fucking sickos aren't illegally streaming most of this shit? Which, if you go on any of these pirate sites with the fucking views listed, you see what shows get viewed more. Illegally. Okay? Not to be a fucking snitch here, but like, come on, Dave. Actually study and learn this shit. The business has shifted to streaming. And piracy is a huge part of that. You gotta understand this, Dave. And you know, not to make it about that when he's talking about the average income and all this shit, but do you really think AEW fans are just these rich elitist people who just don't come to the shows, or who won't come to the shows? Ticket sales are up. Okay, they're doing more giveaways. I think even Dave said there was like 7,000 tickets given away for something. I'm not sure if that pertained to AEW, so I didn't bookmark it because I didn't know. I just saw it in passing. And have time to look before the show started. But like, let's say they're giving away all these tickets and then they're doing these $10 sales and then there's more people. But then, okay, so rich people are just looking for a deal, pal. They're not willing to shill it out when they come to town. They got to go to the smaller venues. In Australia, we try to gouge them. People don't show up, so we do all the free upgrades to the people who did shill it out, and it wasn't a lot. Wasn't nearly the same as last time. I don't know, man. Dave is just fucking coping. He's always just coping and defending this shit when he ends up just getting felted. So Frenchie Alou says, can we agree that if a news site runs with the exact frame in question, it could be considered somewhat unethical? So this is just a little pwn on Dave, and then I'll check in with chat here. Dave Meltzer says, if I said yes, I'd be the laughing stock of journalism. You are. People don't understand this stuff at all. It was on worldwide TV. The reality is it would be completely ethical. Oh my God, this is more on that Lucha shit, but it's just Nicolo Piccolo goes, you need to be a journalist first, and then ratioed him to Oblivia Cree, dude. That rules. That's super funny. This is what I love when Nicolo Piccolo's just roasting Dave and shit like that. That rules. So moving along here now, we have Dave's WWE shit that we're going to get into. We have one thing that sort of crosses streams as far as WWE is concerned. When it comes to AEW, he talks about injuries. Dave gives a bit of an injury report. Let me check in with chat just quickly, though, because I do see at 613-805-45 says Dave wishes AEW is more like WWE, WCW, but he knows AEW sucks. Brother, did you see how many he only gave 7-star ratings in the history? What do we call, it's not the Fed, it's not the Wubs, it's not Nuge. What would WCW be called? The Champs? No, whatever, just WCW. Only 7? Now, again, I can't even go through my mind of like, I just think it's wrestlers kiss his balls, dude. So what's the difference between what, let's say, Hoovy and Rey Mysterio and like La Parka or some of these matches that like, what's his name? Canyon would have with some of these luchadors. Nowadays, Dave would give that shit 5 stars. So like, why wasn't he giving like Pillman and Jushin Thunder I'm not saying that match in particular was such a banger, but like, really, Dave? Only 7 in its history? Or is that just counting the Bischoff era? I doubt it's that. When Rey Mysterio had some of these matches with like Psychosis or whatever, or Ultimo Dragon versus Eddie Guerrero or any of these fucking matches, those weren't 5 stars, but that's the shit they do nowadays, and Dave drools all over it. So what was it? Were those guys just not shilling to him? Meanwhile, Dave got a rapport, had people like the Bucks, like Omega, a bunch of these wrestlers like Ricochet, who grew up, like Tony Khan, who's in the business now, who actually loved and admired Dave and admired the fucking, they believe that he was the all-seeing eye and all that shit. And they were fans of him, and they got 5-star chants, and they wrestled for the 5 stars, and they marked out when they got the 5 stars, and Dave was going to the PWG shows. So then when those guys go to Japan, he's like, oh, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen, Brian. You know what I mean? And that's why those matches back then weren't like getting all the stars. You'd think WCW's cruiserweight division would have got 100 5-star matches then. Did you see what Courageous and these guys were doing? Shane Helms and 3 Count and the Jung Dragons and shit. You mean to tell me those guys weren't putting up 5 stars in Dave's standards today with what the Bucks? He just gave this Mile High Mayhem shit. They were doing that shit like that, you know, with actual characters and shit too. So I don't know, man. And shout out the Rascals. I don't mean to diss them. I think they are characters, and they're just well established in wrestling in general. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know if he wants it to be more like WCW, because then they'd have no stars. He wouldn't be able to just throw stars around frivolously. Think about, like, what did Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero? Let's just look it up. Rey Mysterio versus Eddie Guerrero. And that was at, I want to say, Halloween Havoc 97, right? Halloween Havoc 1997, Dave Meltzer star rating. 4.75. This is what I'm saying. So that match isn't better than like that match is, I just think as a wrestling fan, objectively, if you showed that fucking match to people, to anyone, they would be like, oh my God, if you showed the Mile High Madness to anyone, they wouldn't fucking get it. So how is that a 5-star match? And this is 4.75 stars for Eddie Ray with the mask on the line. Think about the heat on that too. The mask on the line. Go back and watch that match and how they transition through the lucha spots just like seamlessly. There's even a couple spots where it's not just so buttery smooth seamless. It looks like a struggle. They have that match where they're doing like classic lucha shit, but it looks like they're fighting, and it looks like they really make you believe that Rey Mysterio is like trying to get his wild offense off, but Eddie just keeps cutting him off and fucking, he hits a couple, then I take him out again with a high impact. He keeps kicking out. I'm getting frustrated. I'm ripping them. That match is just an all-time classic, 5-star in the history books of wrestling. And it was at Halloween Havoc 97. This Mile High in front of 2,000 papered house tickets on Dynamite is 5 fucking stars. Come on, man. I just can't. I can't with that shit. And it's not because it's more than just like, well, he likes the New Japan cruiserweight lucha style. Nah, because if you go back 20 fucking 30 years, he wasn't giving WCW stars, 5 stars at all for this shit. So what it really is these fucking people that he met who were marks for him, who grew up because he's a dinosaur and now they're adults and they're going to New Japan now, and Dave's going to put it over. That's what it is. And yes, did he like the old All Japan shit and all that stuff? Absolutely. So that just added to it. It was like the perfect combination of these people co-opted him, and they went to Japan and they wrestled in Indy and fuck the Fed. And then a billionaire just so happened to be a Dave fan. Luckiest motherfucker in the world. As far as that's concerned, if Dave's making money off this, who knows? But yeah, that's a conspiracy for another day. Thank you. That was a great super. Thank you for that. It struck up a good discussion there. So let's get into now like WWE stuff. Okay, we're making great time for this episode. God damn, comparatively. So we start with injuries. So again, Dave talked about injuries a little bit, and now he's telling us what the percentages are, WWE versus AEW. And again, we'll give Dave at least a bit of a, because he talks out of his ass with these goofy percentages, but we'll give him a bit of a, we'll give him a bass flute a little bit just because that was a dumbass one. That was God being like, don't give him a bass one. He doesn't deserve it. But like, he, at least before, he was like, there's on percentage WWE is a little bit more, but it doesn't really mean anything. And then now he's like, AEW has more injuries, I believe.
You also had a note about the injury rate in both companies, and the AEW one was up and the WWE one was down.
Yeah, it's about 8%. I think it's like maybe 8.2. The actual numbers in the Observer, and I think AEW is 14.7%. So it's actually considerably higher right now. I mean, they're usually pretty close to each other. AEW is a little bit above normal, and WWE is a little down from normal. So there is
from normal. So what does normal mean?
Is a decline with WWE now that the schedule is easier. For a while there was no decline, but now there is a little bit of a decline with the less shows.
So everybody said, Dave, they do less shows now. There's going to be a bit less injuries, even though wrestlers don't callus as much. And then Dave was like, well, no, actually, WWE's up by a little percentile in the injuries, and AEW's not. That's what he said last time we listened to one of these. I don't even know if you guys remember it, because it's like a nothing burger, really. But he's like, well, now that they lightened up the schedule, it's like, yes, that's what people tried to point out to you. That's what motherfuckers were saying around the IWC at the time.
And so there's an argument that the less shows, make things safer given the style differences, because the AEW style does a lot more high risk stuff.
Finally, he says it, bro. This is literally, he was arguing against this for so long. Remember, like, well, if they do more high risk, why are the injuries about the same? That's been his argument for so fucking long.
And
so now he's saying, well, they do more high risk stuff, and the schedule's lighter in WWE. So yeah, AEW is going to be up a bit. So he'll argue against it when he's like, well, the injuries are down a bit. And then now, and this isn't one of these things like people say, yo, being able to admit you're wrong or like fucking change your mind on things, it shows a sign of intelligence, right? And that's true, but that's not what Dave's doing. That's not how he presents this shit. That's not, he's talking about it like, oh, this is an obvious thing that fucking Dave, you spent how long arguing against the opposite when people were trying to say, dude, they have a more high impact, high risk, like weigh the actual magnitude of these injuries as well. Like how many, Bronson Reed hurt his arm and he'll be back in a few months. Seth Rollins hurt his fucking leg. He was back in a few months. I kicked your leg out of your leg, Seth. And then meanwhile, Ospreay lands on his fucking head and lands on his head so many times that he's got to go take care of a neck surgery and he's going to be gone. He might not even be back for this All In. Like how many of those type of injuries are we talking about too? Where Kyle O'Reilly's been gone for so long because of his neck and shit, and then now he's gone for a long-ass time again. Adam Cole's literally done wrestling. Cooked, finished. We won't see him. Keith Lee. Now, Keith Lee's stuff is apparently health that's like not because of wrestling, right? So we won't put that on him, I guess, or on AEW. But again, Dave, there's like the magnitude of these injuries. If you're just saying people injured, I mean, any given Sunday, there could be more tweaked ankles than fucking the PC. Everyone's got a tweaked ankle. Everyone's wrestling hurt if you really want to chalk it up that way. So,
that's, but they still both have a significant injury rate. It's much lower than the NBA. It's much lower than the NFL, but it's certainly significant.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So as we transition from AEW over to WWE, let's talk about it. As Trick Willie Gang would say, NXT Stand and Deliver will not take place WrestleMania weekend. We talked about this on PWT Live. I'm interested to hear what these two chuckle fucks have to say.
Head to Vegas, everybody, if you're going. I know those tickets are going to drop for WrestleMania.
They're not doing Stand and Deliver there, though.
No, they're not.
They moved it to St. Louis. You know, it's really interesting. I don't know what it said. I mean, there's a bunch of reasons it was moved. I mean, one of them is it was just so hard from a production standpoint to go and do SmackDown on Friday night, Stand and Deliver on Saturday morning. Plus, it's the fact that it's the morning because of Vegas, not the afternoon, and then come back with Saturday night WrestleMania. It really was telling to me, as far as their confidence in NXT, that they would book a 2,100 seat building for their biggest show of the year, as opposed to 5,000, 7. I mean, there's so many.
Why, Dave? They're just going to fill it and put on a good show. Something you and Tone just don't understand. And then he's like, well, they book a 2,000 seater. Criticized Tone once for booking 10K seaters and putting barely 2,100 people in it. Fuck, man. Come on. I don't know. I don't get why they'd go to a smaller building that they will for surely pack and probably gouge everyone for. They'll be able to charge a premium because the demand will be way more in this smaller fucking how many tickets there are. And it's essentially NXT's WrestleMania, so they can get away with doing that. Again, I study and learn the business. Fuck.
Buildings in the St. Louis market that they could have run, to pick that one was really interesting. I mean, it just basically says that they do not have confidence.
Thing to understand.
That
they don't have
NXT
confidence now. It's not about that, Dave. Holy fuck, man. You haven't been paying attention how WWE does anything lately, obviously.
At this stage of the game, can sell a lot of tickets, because, in the past, I think last year, like
April 4 is in a month, Dave, and they're going to charge the fuck out of people likely for these tickets. And it's about production and shit. Stuff that you don't give a fuck about at all because you make excuses for Tone when people point out he should think more about these sorts of things. And, they do go to smaller buildings, Brian. They do go to smaller buildings, Phil Marks. I don't give a fuck, imaginary Dave, in my head, okay? Because that happened way after the fact, and they should have been doing it, and they should be doing it more. And that's why I do not clown Tone. Again, I'm going to stand behind Tone on the fact that he's doing these studio shows for ROH, except for if those numbers are true, that they were trying to give out 250 and they could only give away 70 tickets. But for now, anyways.
They announced like some number like 15,000 or 12,000 or something, and I think it was a lot lower than that in reality. I mean, they announced a pretty fake number last year, but it was still like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 people. And to go in this year, and not even be in that weekend, but go with the idea, I was really surprised that they would, they didn't go to
Dave. Not going that weekend is especially the time you go a smaller joint, because if they were in Vegas and they had the venue and then they made the tickets really cheap in hopes that a bunch of people who were there for Mania would sell out whatever the fuck that week for NXT, or smaller, or bigger venue compared to this 2,100 one, but like smaller compared to WrestleMania is what I mean. They would have did that too, but it's just like, you don't know their logistics and shit. Neither do I, but ultimately I think it's just what I said. Like, and you do want to go smaller because what are you going to go? Oh, we're going to do 10,000 this night. Time to play that game. Fuck all that, dude. Just make sure that it's a show. Like TNA showed that you can do this. Pack a venue that fits the amount of people that you're going to be able to host, even if you got to beef it up a little bit. But WWE won't have to with a 2,100, whatever the fuck. They'll just sell that out for a shoot. And so TNA's shown this, like, just put on a show that looks good and packed, and then it resonates way better with the audience, and especially for the viewing audience at home, and just the energy, man. People know this. Everyone in chat, everybody listening to this or watching this, have gone to shows, and sometimes some of the best shows you go to aren't the biggest fucking. I've seen Taylor Swift live. The fucking stage was flying through the air and all the shit. It was cool, but it was such a big fucking building. I'm glad that I experienced it, but it just felt kind of disconnected. When you're in a more intimate setting and some band nobody's heard of is just ripping, sometimes that's the best experience. So again, with wrestling, it is all about having a tone and a vibe, and they'll be able to capture that. It'll be like 2,100 rabid fucking NXT fans. It's in St. Louis, so Randy Orton will show up or something like that. I don't know if any NXT guys are from there. They're slipping my mind, but yeah, they'll give the crowd, let's give them something to talk about.
The Family Arena or Chaffetz Arena, or there's, like I said, there's many other places there that would hold a lot more people, and they went to a real small place.
Yeah, all right.
Head to
They're
Vegas.
saving a bunch of fucking money doing it that way too. Something that Tone would never get advice from Dave to do. Speaking of Randy Orton and Javon Evans, who shared a moment, I believe, in St. Louis. No, were they in St. Louis for that one? I don't remember, but here is Dave Meltzer, for some reason, finding a negative in Randy Orton giving Javon Evans the rub.
Randy's like mentoring, Javon and Trick Williams and probably others. And so he's trying to teach Javon to wrestle smart. Unfortunately.
Now, this is the complete opposite of your boy Phil's take here, man. This is the complete opposite. I'm sitting here like, listen, as he gets size, Javon's going to slow down and stop being a flippy machine. Because why? Why do that? And Dave is begging Ospreay now. He can slow down and do a slower style so he doesn't hurt his neck. Same with Kenny Omega. That's what he put over about the Gabe Kidd match and shit. So ultimately, Dave, why don't we learn how to do this properly so you don't have to do it as a backup plan when your fucking neck's broken or your spine doesn't work anymore, right? And so Dave is like, Javon's going to keep doing flips. I'd say slim down. I'm pretty sure he tells him to slim down. I'm not joking.
No, I mean, it's different here. Like Randy Orton is, 6'4.5", and he's probably 270 pounds now, but he was like 240 when he came in. Really good looking guy, good body, great execution, son of a wrestler. He had everything going.
Wait, when Randy first came in, he was not 240, bud. I don't know about that, man. That's like a gimmick weight,
for him. Put in Evolution.
I'm not saying he isn't now. Like, Randy's a big dude, and if he was 260, I wouldn't be shocked, but like 240 back then, skinny Randy. I know he's big, but he was pretty slim down, man.
And real early on in his career,
he was real cut,
world champion, youngest world champion ever. So he had cred. So
now he's just beefy. He had cred. I'm cringing. I'm deuce chilling.
Youngest world champion ever. So he had cred. So he could get by. Randy could get by on
cringe,
being a very safe wrestler. And most guys in this day and age, you don't want to be crazy, but the very safe thing, it's like you have to have like a really good body and have the right look and the right push all together to be able to do what Randy does and get over. So and I'm not saying like I'm what I suspect is going to happen is Javon will tone down, and it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world, but if he forgets who he is, it could be not the best thing in the world for him either. But I've noticed ever since, like I heard that, that Javon has started doing, I mean, he still does spectacular stuff and he's awesome and everything, but he's done less of it, which isn't
not even really, Dave. Because he didn't do the most insane, craziest, insane shit ever, even though he did frog splash off the fucking pod. Because he didn't do all these flippies and do all the shit that Dave thought, and everyone thought, I'm not going to lie, I thought it too, that Dave thought he was going to do in the chamber. Now it's like, he does less of the flippy stuff that I like. No, Dave. He does all the flippies still. He did a bunch in the chamber too. It was just in the chamber. You guys expected him, and I did too, to like scale it and then like moonsault off the chain link or something into the ring on everyone, like one spot that's super crazy. Instead, he paid homage to RVD, who, let's face it, Javon bit the 5-star frog splash. That's totally fine. It's what you do. All right. It's the sincerest form of flattery, is fucking imitating RVD's move and putting your own little stank on it. And it was an homage to Triple H and Rob Van Dam when Javon did the frog splash off of the fucking pod. Now, I even said, hey, that could have been, they could have done something that would have been more like, oh, memorable and shit with Javon, for sure. Because, like, it's not like everyone's sitting here, oh, that was a crazy frog splash moment. But because he didn't do all of that in this one chamber match, what about all of his TV matches, Dave? Are you not watching those? He's going off. Some of these wrestlers on TV in WWE, like Ray Phoenix. Dude, Ray Phoenix and Trick Williams had a match on SmackDown where I'm like, whoa. If this was in AEW, all the sickos cage match, they'd have fucking loved it. They'd have loved it. They did every move you could think of to each other. And Trick was doing everything with Phoenix. Let Phoenix get all of his shit in. And it went super long. It wasn't even, it was a few weeks ago. You guys know what match I'm talking about. It was like, holy shit, they're just going off. Look at what Carmelo Hayes does in his US title match every week. He just snaps. He just has a fucking banger with everybody. So if you're just looking at like, okay, I'm turning on my wrestling show, this is the banger match of the fucking card. Carmelo's going off every week. Javon does the same thing, man. He snaps every week. He's doing every fucking move there is, flying all over the place. So no, he hasn't really stopped. He just didn't do a lot in the chamber. Dave's trying to diminish him a bit because he was reminded after saying that Tony Khan would give him $10 billion that Javon Evans once called Ricochet and Tony Khan crackheads. And that's pretty funny if you ask me.
Tony Khan.
Let's finish this clip.
Necessarily bad because if you do, you know the thing. If you do 2 or 3, they'll remember it. If you do 12, it's all a blur.
What? Oh, what was that, Dave? I'm sorry. Can you just say that one more time?
Isn't necessarily bad because if you do, you know the thing. If you do 2 or 3, they'll remember it. If you do 12, it's all a blur.
So if you do 2 or 3 flippies, they'll remember it. If you do like 12, it's all a blur. And Dave doesn't get why people don't watch AEW like they used to.
He had a Cuervo with him the whole time too.
And people laugh at his quote unquote objective 5-star ratings. And Dave can't figure it out. He's tart angry on Twitter every day, like, oh, why is everyone coming after me? Buddy, you don't get it, and you're saying it. You're saying it right now. It's all just a blur. This is why Mile High Madness isn't 5 stars, because it's just a blur. Like, we've seen a million of these matches. It was basically anarchy in the arena, but just in Denver, Colorado, where we're at altitude. So it was just the same match, actually. But I'm trying to like make it sound like it's something it isn't, so that it sounds like it's something cool and unique and fresh, when really it's just 5 guys brawling on each team, doing fucking flips and carnage spots. And this happens every week in AEW. I feel like a few weeks ago or a month ago, the women, maybe it was 2 months ago. Again, it's all a blur, Dave. But I think the women had like a 4-on-4, 5-on-5 carnage, and that was called a Colorado Carnage match, right? Like, what was it called then? It's just a blur, Dave. All these Young Bucks matches, they're kind of a blur. And it's just funny that he says it, but then when people point that out, he's like, no. And when people go, this is why the ratings aren't as high, or people don't want to watch this as much, or they'll always be a challenger brand, or TNA's challenging them as far as like, you guys want to make it about the art, TNA's better. If you guys are artsy fartsy and you want to make it just about that, and you don't want to be objective about like, hey, how do we quantify success and who's actually, what the objective purpose is of fucking being a pro wrestling promotion and things like that. Like, if you don't want to quantify that with numbers and like use data and look at like measurable facts, then okay, we're just talking about the art and subjectivity and shit. Okay, TNA's better. TNA's already number 2 in that department. Boom, debate me on that. No, you can't really debate that. So Dave is explaining right here what's wrong with AEW for the average casual, which people will go, well, fuck a casual. Well, guess what? MJF is begging for casuals. Excalibur did an interview begging for casuals. People think I'm doing this tribalist thing. Oh, when I'm making fun of MJF when he's saying ticket sales are up. Pardon me. Yet they're doing free tickets for people at schools in certain areas and whatnot. And then every subsequent ticket you buy, if you have your student ID, is only $10. So buy 5, give us $50. We gave you a free one. You and 5 of your friends come to the show for $50. Like, that's a sweet deal. But that means convincing casuals. Meanwhile, this fan base says, fuck a casual, and yells horse cock. Okay? And they chant fucking... And then all of a sudden you have the Rizzler out there with Orange Cassidy, and then all of a sudden Moxley's getting a taser shoved up his ass or whatever. It's crazy. It's not for casuals, I thought. I thought it's for the sickos. I thought fuck a casual. So now we're making plays at casuals, and even Dave's like, oh, it's all a blur. I guess. Fuck you guys, man. It's so crazy. It's like, if you just listened 4 years ago, Dave, this AEW would be like thriving. It would be actually competing with WWE.
At the same time, I don't think his matches have been better.
And yeah, so I guess he's using what he should be criticizing AEW with. He should be saying, he shouldn't even be saying that towards Javon Evans. And also he was trying to tempt Javon Evans by like, oh, you'll get paid 10 times more money.
Randy's like,
it's like, who are you working for, bud? So they talk about the Rhea Ripley, Jade Cargill beef. I think they're working. Doesn't matter. Work me, daddy. I want to be fucking worked. That was kind of gay. Sorry, guys. No. No, it's cool. I'm comfortable with my shit, dog. What's up? No, but listen. Whether it's a work or shoot, there's now heat on this WrestleMania match. That's what the whole biz is about. Nobody knows how to work the reality into shoot, work, shoot, brothers more than WWE, as we've seen by everybody spurging out and melting down over Unreal and what's a work and what's a shoot. They're effectively blurring the lines again, and everyone's triggered. Unreal fucking sucks because they're convincing people that shit's a work that isn't a work, and it's a work when it's a work. Oh, so they're like figuring out a way to kind of blur the lines again, and you're all crying like bitches about it. What the fuck? Go watch MMA. You guys want it to be real? Oh, they said on TV Rey Mysterio's the biggest luchador of all time. Yeah, they're trying to get Rey Mysterio. It's a fucking work show. And it's a scripted television program. Like, what do you... Jesus Christ. Anyways.
So they're trying to do some angle with Jade and Rhea.
Oh, the Twitter angle.
They're doing an angle on Twitter to make you think that they actually hate each other.
There is a prevailing viewpoint there among people and talent.
Oh, man, there's a prevailing, like he talked to everyone. He surveyed everyone. The survey's just not out yet, Brian.
That is like identical to some of the things that were tweeted. So there is, I don't know, ribbing on a square. It's a really interesting thing because it is a work, you know, because again, like if it was real, they're not doing it. You know what I mean? It's like Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. They're not like they're not going to bury someone on their own team in public because they know you can't do this. It's not allowed.
It's not allowed. Yeah, so they're all professionals and they're all working on one boat, all sailing the 7 seas together, trying to get to their destination together, like a well-oiled machine. And in Dave's mind, it's like, oh, you know, just the way he's negative about it. Instead of being like, well, there's heat on the match, Bry, so who gives a fuck? Shut up. Yeah, no, not that he has to do that. But it's like, I don't know. He's just got to look at Randy Orton mentoring Javon Evans as a negative. He's got to look at these two working a shoot as a negative, but it's kind of real, but I don't really know, but it is a work. Otherwise, they wouldn't be allowed to do it. But I think it is real because people don't like Jade because I don't like Jade. That's what he's getting at. And it's just like, fuck you.
But they are using the thoughts of many people.
So they are allowed to do it because they're doing it. So they are allowed to use real life beef thoughts back and forth. So they're working a shoot. And you don't want to put over the way they're blurring the lines and making a shoot, working a shoot, dude.
While they're doing this angle, it's really kind of, you know, that's what Lawler and Dundee used to do. There, I brought them up twice on the same show. You know, where it's all work, but everything that they said about each other was real.
So then it's not all a work.
You know, that
so they just agreed to do business. And then in AEW, it's really not a work because that's what you guys want. You just want to watch people really fight, but you're just too pussy to say that.
Annoyed them about the other one. So it's yeah, they're trying to make it out like it's a shoot and they're going to really fight at this show. And it's weird because when you do that on Twitter, it just, I don't know. It's like, it's just an attempt. It's an attempt to get some heat for the match. That's all. You know, they want to be they've got 6 weeks to build up a big match. They want to be featured. There's a lot of people in hotter feuds than this one, but this is a big deal because it is a championship match and it's a Rhea Ripley match, so it's got to be big. So, that's the strategy.
Yeah, so they have go figure. They have a booking strategy headed into WrestleMania, and they're going to work a shoot and blur the lines in order to.
So
and Dave's just like disappointed in it that they're trying to keep kayfabe alive. Damn it. It's still real to me, damn it. So here's his and Bryan's thoughts on Punk versus Roman Reigns. Now, I know Punk said some shit. Dave better watch his tongue when it comes to the Anoa'i Fatu family because he's definitely pissed them off a few times. When it comes to Bryan and Punk, though, they've had a beef since like 2008, 2009, one-sided. Bryan hates Punk because of Maria Kanellis, which again, I don't have a backstory on. Like I should just ask Meltzer said what. I'm sure he could explain it. I don't know why I haven't ever, but basically like CM Punk dated Maria Kanellis or some shit back in the day. She's a married woman now. I'm not trying to talk over, bring up her old shit, whatever. But apparently Bryan Alvarez was like in love with her. And then that like offended him, or that's at least how people make it seem online. I don't fucking know, right? So it's over Maria Kanellis for some reason. That's like Bryan's dream girl, and then Punk dated her. And I think he dated like Lita and shit too, didn't he? Dated everybody, Chick Magnet Punk. But that ever since then, people are like, Bryan has had a vendetta against Punk since then type thing. So now he talks about how Punk holds grudges. And let's take a look / a listen to Punk holding grudges and not Bry.
Roman's promo was all of this work, shoot, backstage, blah, blah. And then Punk's promo was about nothing but the actual storyline involved in the match. But then Punk had to end by talking about the guy's dead father. And Punk says...
So is his dead father a work, buddy, or is that a shoot? So they both did a work shoot, and you just explained how. So Roman did a work shoot work, and then Punk came back with a shoot work shoot. Is that what you're saying, Bri? So they went out there and they're working shoot works, brother? Brother? Jack? Dude? Well, let me tell you something, Mean Gene. Right? So they work themselves into shoot works, both of them, and that's how they're they're blurring the lines a little bit. And you just explained that, but you tried to explain it as though they did two completely different things. Got it.
Tweet didn't hurt my feelings. Quote, I don't care what people tweet about me. I don't get mad and hold grudges about things people say about me on podcasts.
Can I tell you something?
I was already friends again?
No, I'm not friends with him, but no.
I'm not friends, just quickly. No, I'm not friends with Phil. I would never be friends with Phil Brooks. Fuck that.
He had a Cuervo with him the whole time, too.
He doesn't like, he made my boyfriend, my son, Tony.
The best guy's Tony Khan.
Fear for his life, Brian.
About me.
Oh, I don't know about you. When he said that.
He's talking about me. No, he's talking about again, this is the center of the universe shit. You guys aren't the center of the fucking universe, okay? JD from NY gets more fucking views on his shit than you guys, okay? They could be taught. It was JD critical of Punk. I don't know, but like, there's a billion pro wrestling pods. So I'm sure there's lots that shit on Punk. Tons of sicko pods, tons of fucking people who've shitted on him. Tons of people who don't like the direction of WWE right now. Maybe it's you, Brian, but you're the one who holds the fucking grudge. He held on to it for so long.
Line. I swear to God.
Now he's acting
I don't
baffled
think I've
by
laughed
it.
more watching a wrestling show in years.
And then here's the thing too. So Dave is like, I laughed so hard. So imagine it's like I'm watching the show Pretty Woman, the movie. Pretty Woman walking down the street. And I'm like, dude, Julia Roberts in real life is a vegan. Oh, she ate meat in that movie? Oh, I laughed so hard because it was like, oh, she fucking ate meat in this movie when she's really a vegan. That's what he's saying. Like, bro, it's a fake TV show. So even if Punk in real life does hold grudges, what does this shit matter? It just shows that you guys are holding grudges against Punk by even saying some stupid shit like this.
When he said that line, I swear
They always get worked up over kayfabe too. Oh, well, the triple threat happened because Dominic, whatever. Oh, could you believe that? Everyone knows it's because this guy got hurt. Yeah, but it's a work TV show, so they're lying. It's fake, Dave. I don't. It's so crazy.
God, I don't think I've laughed more watching a wrestling show in years with the line about how he doesn't hold grudges. It's like this entire. I mean, that's the funniest line I've ever heard.
And then the fake laughing. I mean, it was just the silliest thing I've ever seen. Look at this.
This entire. I mean, that's the funniest line I've ever.
Oh my God! It was the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Oh my God! It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. Heard. And I mean, it just was so funny because it's like, I don't know, I mean, a lot of people hold grudges, but I don't know if anyone holds grudges more than him.
Then who, Punk? Like, well, okay, so he had a grudge against WWE and then he squashed it. Does he still have a grudge with Tone and the Bucks and shit? Because Dave, CM Punk, I was going to call him Phil Brooks. CM Punk tried to have a sit down with the Elite, and they're the ones who said no. So who was holding the grudge then? Just because he doesn't like you? Nobody likes you guys.
But even if they don't, he holds grudges. The guy holds grudges like nobody's business. My God. If he didn't hold a freaking grudge, the whole entire history of wrestling would be different.
The whole entire history. Lou Thesz's run would have been different if CM Punk didn't hold grudges, guys. I don't know if you guys knew that. Stone Cold would have never had his career and retired when he did if CM Punk didn't hold grudges, because the entire history would be different if he didn't hold grudges. I don't know if you guys knew that.
Meltzer Inferno.
So moving along here. They complain a little bit more about some stuff. One thing being Raw, and someone who'd appeared on Raw before we get into, the commercials and the show itself. Danhausen was on Raw, and people reacted to it way more favorably than they did at the pay-per-view, the PLE for sure. And he had a solid interaction there with the Judgment Day. And so here is Dave Meltzer's assessment of Danhausen on Raw, and Bryan Alvarez discussing if people are sort of warming up to Danhausen now.
I don't care what anyone says. Like, this Danhausen thing's already over with me. This guy comes out on Saturday, dead silence. The little puff of pyro. It's preposterous.
I love it too. That's the little puff of pyro with the sparkles. That rules. The music is awesome. His look is really cool, but he should get shredded. I think he could have bodied up a bit while he was gone. No, am I wrong in that? Is that just old school, pal? We're body guys here. I don't know, but his segment on Raw, especially in the timing, and you got to let Danhausen be Danhausen. He's hands-on with some of this shit. There's nobody like writing all of this. And then Adam Pearce sells it really well. Him and Nick Aldis both do good jobs of like being serious when they need to, and then selling like the goofy shit people are doing backstage when they need to. They're sort of the glue, the center of the television show. The Rock, they're like the foundations of their shows as well, which I think any good GM, the best GMs always are. Like when Stephanie McMahon and Eric Bischoff were GMs, they were good in those roles as well. Anyways,
he shows up here and he goes, I debuted last weekend to thunderous applause. Therefore, I have a list of demands.
Fucking that was funny.
And Judgment Day walks up and they ridicule this guy. And as a result, Danhausen announces that Dom is cursed. And they laugh it off, which, of course, leads to Dominic and Penta for the Intercontinental title. And Penta, after a bunch of interference, ends up avoiding all of it. He hits the Destroyer. He gets the clean pin. He is the new Intercontinental Champion.
And
so
Dom was cursed.
But I like the curse because unlike magic, like when Undertaker shoots a bolt of lightning or whatever, like we don't know if he's actually cursed.
Boom.
It's not like it's real. The guy said you're cursed. He happened to lose.
Boom. Perfectly. So the way I worded it was you need a series of like perfectly of likely and explainable, pardon me, likely and explainable circumstances, like happenstances that shit happens. And is it because of the curse? Is it not? That's how you get it over with people. Obviously, and I agree with that assessment. So trying Bryan on that one, no lying Bryan on that one.
It's open to interpretation.
Yeah, that's exactly it. That's how you get it over. And the problem with the box is the presentation of that was not open to interpretation. So on the PLE, I'm supposed to sit here and pretend that there was a casket in the box that 12 people were hiding inside for weeks, being shipped around the country. And then when the lights go out, he disappeared. And so did the dancers, even though fans caught it. They just ran under the ring. So the problem is the presentation at the PLE was like, I'm supposed to believe this guy's magic and shit. And again, he's like a cartoon character, essentially. That's just the best way to describe him. He's a fucking cartoon character. And yeah, I mean, they could have done it better, but it's not like he's ruined. It's not like he was smashed to oblivion, Cree. Okay, he's gonna be okay. And they got him there with Judgment Day, and apparently he's gonna be on SmackDown. So they're gonna mix it up with Miz a little bit. I'm certain of it. Again, on the member show, I was like, put him with fucking Dom and Miz and shit, and that's what's going on. So good take by a based Bryan there. So another take that some people might agree with, okay, when it comes to Dave and Bry, the commercials on Raw. And I'm going to be honest, dude. The commercials on Netflix don't bother me too much when we're watching Raw. You'll get like a 3-minute ad of like Netflix movies that are coming, and typically it's just ads for WWE shit and then like Netflix shit. So I don't care too much, but I don't know if they should be there because we're fucking already paying. Or if there's like, hey, here's a tier, the first tier, there's ads, but then these other ones, there's no ads or whatever. And then you pay for that like I do, but then I still get ads during the live events. So I don't know what's going on with that. But yeah, I heard Wrestling with Freddy's most recent show, Freddie Prinze Jr. Maybe it was the one before, whatever. And he was complaining about it. And now Dave Meltzer and Bry are complaining about it too.
They've done something over the last 2 weeks where they're making it very difficult to skip commercials.
As long as I can get the fast forward thing going before the commercial starts, I'm okay. There was one point where I left the room, to go and get a banana, and all of a sudden they're going.
You wait to get a banana? You what? Did you then squish it in your own face, or did you? Was this the ending to the plot of revenge to your ex-girlfriend from back in the day? For those of you who don't know, Dave tells this crazy story back in the day where his girlfriend, he was trying to explain like, the Tonight Show, the ratings of Lucha Libre, whatever. He was like trying to explain some like talk show shit that he knows nothing about to his ex-girlfriend way back in the day. And so she
the
just
young
looked at him.
Superstar, babyface, the former heel thing. So
So he's rambling to his ex, and then she just looked at him, and this is from Dave's own words, and she squished a banana in his face and was like, shut up. And then he said for like weeks he was plotting his revenge. When I'm going to put this banana in her face and like, it's fucking weird, dude. I've covered it, I think, a few times. But like, Jesus, I went to the kitchen to get a banana. All right. Hopefully you didn't assault anyone with it this time. Lock them up. No.
To go and get a banana, and all of a sudden they're going to a commercial. I go, no, and I'm running back in there trying to hit that fast forward because I don't want to sit for the 3 minutes. I didn't make it.
7 straight commercials.
7 straight. Yeah, but it's on a 3-minute timer. And I believe it's 6. So I think you might be lying, Bryan, again, because I think they're just 30 seconds each, perfectly timed out. You get the Jay-Z one. Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is Hove, but it's like a Heinz commercial for like their mayo, their like ketchup mayo mix or the Chipotle ketchup or whatever.
And they had so many commercials on this show.
You know what's funny?
They're all in the middle of matches.
It's so funny is about, I'm thinking about a month or two ago. It was actually reported first.
Oh, where they claimed there were going to be less commercials?
No, they were going to be not have them during the matches. They weren't going to.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So
a lie.
And so I asked, I go, is this true? And they go, yeah, it's true.
And they go, no, nope. Your designated stooge said that to you.
And that was the idea. But it's like it didn't.
It's worse than ever.
Man, when I watch soccer or when I watch the NFL or I watch the NBA, they're not cutting away in the middle of the action. This is so disrespectful. I think that there's
AEW does the same shit, but I do get it though. Here's where I'm not trying to do a what about. I always do the what aboutism because Dave does it with WWE all the fucking time. Even when he was melting down about the Lucha Libre stuff, he was fucking doing a what about WWE and shit. But when it comes to this, it's like, buddy, he might have a point because it's on streaming. So I don't know if you want to compare it to like soccer or football that you're not watching on streaming, but just streaming, Dave. When you're streaming a movie, ads don't pop up unless you're watching like fucking Tubi, which it's not even that big of a deal. Like it doesn't trigger me. And they're like, it's worse than ever. But actually on Netflix, they fade to black and then they come back to the action and then they fade to black again and then come back to the action. So it's not like you're missing anything. Maybe they're just paying for the lowest tier of Netflix, which again, I don't blame people. They shouldn't be getting ads for that either, but it is what it is, man. I don't know.
This better. They know there's ways to do this better, but for Netflix, I just think for Netflix,
the formatting of like all wrestling shows these days sucks pretty bad. I think TNA might have especially when they pre-tape their shows, not the live ones, when they pre-tape, their formatting was down. They got that down pat. Live is a little different. I think just because the show's so long, you have to like the match. You have to go, okay, we have to keep the people who care about seeing every single match and every single segment are who we need to really make sure don't turn this shit off during the commercial or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Maybe that's not it, but
it's like you can just.
And also it's all about selling ads. Sorry, not to pause it again, but it's just this whole fucking streaming game. This whole thing is like, we're just selling ads. That's why there's ads everywhere and they're running the ads. It's all a play to just market shit to every age, 7 and up, dude.
Do the commercials after the match. It's like, I don't see why it has to be like, if you're doing an 8-minute match and you get to the 8-minute mark, you have to do the 7, like you do the one commercial break from 2 to 5, then you get to 8 and you got to do another commercial break. There's got to be a way around this.
On the iPad, I used to watch an hour after the show ended on the iPad, and the commercials were just gone. The show was like an hour and 50 minutes.
I had the same thing.
No, you didn't have to skip nothing. It was just like when the commercial.
Yeah, same with me. So it was like, the replay, no ads. And sometimes they would even cut out the little section of like commercial break. We'll be right back, because on SmackDown that happens. And the music will play like do. You guys know that music that plays before the AAA events on YouTube, on Netflix? That's what they use for like SmackDown during the commercials. And you still get to watch a bunch of the during commercials that like on USA, you guys wouldn't see that. But a bunch of them are also just music for 3 minutes with wrestlers posing, which is way worse than the ads. I'd rather take the 3 minutes of ads of like, hey, here's a movie coming out soon, than fucking just like Jordan Grace and then fucking yes boy, like those guys doing their pose in slow motion, then Mitchin doing her pose in slow motion, then R-Truth dancing in slow motion, and it's just this music, boo 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 boo. It fucking gets annoying real quick. But that used to not be there, but now they have like unskippable ads, so Netflix is figuring it out. You know what I mean?
Commercial break happened. It just went right to the next segment. And about 3 weeks ago, it stopped.
Well,
and now it's an unskippable commercial. It doesn't matter if you start before. It doesn't matter if you start. You cannot get through.
A 15-minute AEW match, you're going to get one commercial break.
Oh, come on. Don't see. Now he's going to do the whataboutism. Bro, they cut away all the time. They do the picture-in-picture, which I don't think that works. I don't think that helps them any. It's better than just commercials, I guess, if you're like a diehard. But
15-minute WWE match, you're going to get two.
Yeah, and that might be true, though. No, maybe. Like WWE, their problem, too, one of the problems, I think, sometimes is that, and a lot of people go, it's just backstage shit. But a lot of times, though, you'll get a SmackDown where it's like some fucking 20-minute matches. You get like 3 fucking 15 to 20-minute matches, and you're like, shit, that was a lot of wrestling for like just the one match, though. So AEW, their approach is like, okay, let's put 10 matches on here that all go long, and we'll do an overrun. Whereas, like, I think WWE fans and more casuals are more into like, here's some backstage shit, here's some vignette shit, here's a long, well, I don't even know about the longer matches. I think the quicker matches work better a little bit for that. And then it's like at the PLE, I'm going to watch a shitload of wrestling and magnificent entrances and superstar. There'll be celebrities and stuff. Like, people kind of understand how WWE does stuff. But Dave, I'm not going to give him shit for this one. There are too many. Everything's fucking got ads, every fucking thing. And it's just a part of how like media works these days. You know what I'm saying? So Dave Meltzer talks about how there's been discussion of turning Trick Williams babyface, which like, anyone could just say this based on how over he is. I think this is the perfect time to let it happen naturally, because they're still booing his heel antics in the matches, but they love his fucking entrance. So there's going to come the right time. You don't just flip him because, and I'm sure there are discussions. I'm sure there's discussions on every single thing for every character. Hey, should we flip this guy? What about this guy? Oh, this heel's hurt. We need another heel over here. Who do we flip? Who do we bring up? Who do we bring in? So of course they're talking about shit like this, but I wouldn't expect him to go full babyface anytime fucking soon. That's for sure. Let's take a listen to this.
So there's also discussion of turning Trick babyface.
Yeah, that's obvious if you watch the TV. You know, I mean, people love him. And I mean, that going to Memphis was really, you know, that turned it. And it was kind of like, that was an easy one, because that chant is like a sports chant in Memphis going back.
Everybody fucking says this, guys. We know, but it applies to Trick. Why didn't they go whoop that Trick every time they're in Memphis? Why haven't they chanted whoop that Trick to everybody? It's also from Hustle and Flow. Hey, guess what? It is also from a movie called Hustle and Flow.
Stupid idiot.
That fucking rules. So whoop that Trick.
You know, long before there was ever a Trick Williams, right? You know, I mean, going back decades, he is very popular. And, you know, you are going to be fighting the fans to try to make him a heel at this point. I mean, he's a natural babyface anyway. And he should be. I mean, you know, he's got his weaknesses in the ring, but he's at least getting better. And, you know, he's certainly passable. You know, and with the right person, you know, can have a good match. But you know, so
he's only passable.
Yeah, he's got all that charisma. I mean,
he's a passable wrestler, and he's got all that charisma. See, Dave doesn't care about any of that shit. Just moves.
I think he's going to be one of the biggest stars in the company in a very short period of time.
100%. Okay, base Dave again at the end, but Dave actually reacted to Danhausen, and again, I probably should have mentioned this earlier. And I'm just going to make note of this really quick. Here, Danhausen section here, because I fucked that up. Meant to talk about this before, but Dave Meltzer reacted to Danhausen's debut at the Chamber, And he said, I mean, it was the gobbledygooker, Bryan. Come on. He goes, it was the gobbledygooker. That's what it was. They finally managed to do another gobbledygooker. We'll see. It's a weird one because with Paul Levesque, the way he books, I don't see where this guy fits in. He could do the R-Truth thing. Nope, that's not what that's not it. Guys, he will fucking team with Penta and team against probably JD and Dom or something like that coming up. He will have real matches. Just don't expect him to be like a world beater. Okay, they're going to book him the way like Orange Cassidy should have been booked and shit like that, which is different than R-Truth. If you look at R-Truth and you think the same thing as Danhausen, like, oh, they're both kind of funny. And okay, Kevin Owens can be kind of funny. Sami Zayn's kind of funny sometimes. Fucking Usos are kind of funny sometimes. It's not just like comedy act. Oh, he's going to be R-Truth. I don't know, man. I think there's only one R-Truth. So the R-Truth thing, he says in fairness. But they have R-Truth. You don't need two R-Truths. Yeah, so what? He's going to come out rapping and going, people over there, what's up? I curse you. Maybe in like one segment sometime because it'll be funny. But Joe Hendry's different than R-Truth is different than Danhausen. They have an R-Truth. I know he's not the same thing, but it's just sort of that gimmick mascot guy that doesn't wrestle. Because there's no upside for him to do wrestling matches, him going and doing his shtick might get over. It's WWE. On paper, I would have thought that it would for a while. So what about AEW? He was just in AEW. And it was getting over there, and people were begging for him. And Tone just benched him because of Punk. Meanwhile, Orange Cassidy got less over the years because Tone should have booked him in a less serious way. So you're just ass backwards, Dave. Not saying he's bad, but in this day and age, to get regular TV appearances, you got to either be an awesome talker, which he's a gimmick talker. Oh my God. Do I have to add this to Dave Meltzerism's list? You just made the list. I have to add this to Meltzer's Meltzerism list. Because, like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do I mean? What do you mean? What do I mean, Mark? Holy shit, dude. A gimmick talker. So Dusty Rhodes, when he's talking in gimmick, isn't still one of the best talkers because it's in gimmick? A gimmick talker? Oh my Lord. Yeah, I'm literally making note of this. A gimmick talker. Oh fucking Lee, man. What does that even mean? Oh, dude. So, okay, you've got to be either an awesome talker, which he's a gimmick talker. And then he just had an awesome little segment with fucking Pierce. Or you have to be really freaking good in the ring or be a big muscular dude, and he doesn't fit that. Or have charisma, Dave. Oh, I mean, you can be a charisma guy. He doesn't have any of these things that make him a good wrestler, and he's a gimmick talker. He's good at talking and being a character, but it's a gimmick. Like like Stone Cold's not a gimmick. You fucking loser. People pushed for him, and there were people who didn't want him. Yeah, that's every single person. There's people who pushed for Punk. There's people who didn't want Punk. This was not a unanimous decision or anything like that. Nobody who ever gets signed is unanimous. People fucking signing Mick Foley wasn't unanimous. Signing Mean Mark Calloway wasn't unanimous. I would guess that the people who didn't want him are thinking, sure didn't work out so well this time. Or they're not vindictive cunts like you, Dave, and they're not like, see, I told you so. And they're just like, oh, shit, you win some, you lose some. Well, better get him next time because we're all on the same team here. But in time will tell. He'll get another chance. Maybe he'll be the gobbledygooker, and maybe he'll be R-Truth. One or the other. And see, Dave's whole theory's fucked because who is the gobbledygooker again? Wasn't it like Hector Guerrero? So he could work. He could work his fucking ass off. And that shit didn't work, so Dave's just spurging. Dave goes, he says, WWE signing Danhausen was not a unanimous decision. We covered that. And, he just gets caught in fucking lies all the time. I mean, here's him called out for a couple things that, it sort of relates to WWE and AEW as far as Hobbs is concerned. But again, Meltzer said, what's like, if you'd like to see the thousands of other mistakes you've made, you need to unblock me, Dave, because Dave's like, you found one mistake, corrected immediately, and the other was something that went through a number of changes with injuries and card changes. So it has to do with Backlash and then Roman Reigns. You know, one mistake corrected. Here's Roman Reigns will be the odd man out. And then Dave's like, you found one mistake corrected immediately, and the other was something that went through a number of changes with injuries and card changes. No, but Dave, so here's the problem with that, right? So we're going to debunk Dave right here when it comes to WWE because he's a stupid idiot. I'm about to cook him. Are you guys ready? So Dave, when he saw the whiteboards in Unreal, he's like, oh, and that show was filmed months ago, and boy, when I tell you what the plans are for Mania. But Dave, the plans that you were alluding to with the whiteboard was you saying that Roman's going to be the odd man out of WrestleMania and all of these things. So these recent injuries and shit made you wrong, but you were trying to say that whatever the fuck they had planned before. So now he's like using an excuse. It changed all this stuff. Just wherever it fits. Earlier we covered, like, okay, is it the key demo or is it the fucking overall viewership? It's just Dave will flip-flop whenever it's convenient for him. So you got to watch that with Dave. But yeah, what about this too? It was a mistake. No, dude, you just didn't do your diligence, which is a mistake kind of, but like not really when you're such a condescending motherfucker, dude. And you sit there and say, I do this. I know everything about the business. He literally said that. I've studied every aspect of this business. Every aspect? So you've been in the ring? You've wrestled at the highest levels, dude? Every aspect? What are you talking about? Will Ospreay can't even say he's studied at the highest levels of the business or at every aspect because he's never done WWE. And that's a whole different thing, a whole different animal, according to you guys. But it's the biggest part of it's the biggest aspect of the pro wrestling business. And he's never even experienced that. So even a guy like Kenny Omega can't say he's studied in every single aspect. Dave will claim that and shit. So it's like you don't get to just be like, it was a mistake. I thought you were Uwatu, dude. So he says, not a bad percentage out of 50,000 words a week. Also, you complained about... No, but Dave, I break down all the 50,000 words and it's a 3-hour-long plus show every week. Because you're full of shit. Eyes of Brown, you're so full of shit. I need that for the soundboard. Guys, hit like. There's over 300 watching across YouTube and X. Appreciate you guys. Love you guys. It's a long one again. He says, I not only wrote about earlier that day, but have been covering for 2 months, almost every week. So yes, you are a fraud. No, Dave, you just defended yourself. So you got defensive and then said you are a fraud, but really he's not doing anything fraudulent. You're just defending fraudulent accusations levied towards yourself. Guilty. So then Julian Weeks just goes, one mistake, hilarious. Here's an AEW one. Here's you lying about Brody King and shit. So it's just a full-on felt of Dave. You can't make this shit up. You're living in a fucking fool's paradise, as Joey Diaz would say. So again, Meltzer said, what's like, here's all of your fucking mistakes. And again, he said the same thing. One mistake in 2024. Don't forget the one where you thought The Rock and Triple H backstage promo from a decade ago meant they were having a match in 2024. Dave goes, you got the story wrong. I said they weren't having a match together, but yeah, made a mistake. No, Dave, you said that they were working. He didn't say that. So that guy fucked up because he didn't say a match, but he alluded to that. Dave, you did. We all share the commonality of language. You insinuated that they were working some sort of angle there between them. 50,000 words a week. You got one in 2024, also corrected immediately. Dave, there's an infinite supply of just opinions, takes, lies, fucking bad shit, news that you think you're breaking, that you flip-flop on, or you don't turns out not to be true, or shit that you fantasy mark book like the pay-per-view numbers and then pretend are real. Those all count. Dave. The embellishments. What about you didn't even mention in your 50,000 words a week, Brian, that Okada You didn't even mention that Okada stabbed a guy with a screwdriver. I think you just left that out entirely when he hit Takeshita with the screwdriver. Meanwhile, it was right in front of the ref's face. You rated it 4.5 stars and didn't mention any of that. So you just omitted all of that. That's a fib, buddy, to protect your guys and the best guy, Tony Khan. That's a fail. Like, that's another L that, like, not everyone's going to, you got to tune into this show to catch all this shit. So it's not 1 in 2024. The best
guy's Tony Khan.
Fuck. And it's more about WWE. Well, there's a lot of lies with AEW. He probably actually lies more pound for pound. He gives them more 5 stars, and he fucking probably lies about them more too overall. But anyways, Randy Orton wins the Men Elimination Chamber match. Are we headed towards a multi-person match at Mania? And then I quote tweet this and go, so Dave really isn't going to address how he said Roman Reigns was the odd man out of WrestleMania and how the WWE title match was going to be a triple threat between Rhodes, Fatu, and Drew? Well, injuries, Brian. So injuries made it so that Punk, okay, well, what did he say? Did he say Braun Breaker was going to fight Punk? Because maybe that's his way to weasel out. But what about this triple threat? Way off base on that one. And again, who cares if Dave just came and said, hey, I'm a wrestling fan making predictions and I'm just talking shit I don't really know. Then that's fine. You know what I'm saying? We all do that. That's the whole point of it's fun. It's like comic books. We predict what's going to happen in the MCU coming up. We say, if this guy fought that guy, that's part of the fun, right? That's part of the fun of pro wrestling. You got to just book, and you got a fantasy mark book. And if it isn't, who gives a shit? You should want your fantasy mark booking to be less right than right. And you guys know that. How many times do I tell you guys, don't be afraid to be worked. If I got to enjoy it, you got to put it over when it works you, because that, and not being worked all the time. Again, the gobbledygooker, Danhausen, it doesn't always pay off as well, but it's like, all right, maybe I didn't expect that. At least they're keeping us honest and on our toes. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to keep the fucking toothpaste in the tube in pro wrestling these days. So I applaud efforts to blur the lines. Again, a through line throughout this episode, but he was way off base on that, and he just spoke as if it was fucking fact the whole time, and then look at what happens. He was completely off on both of these fucking takes. So if you're news, right? PWT's not news. DMDMW's not news. If you're fucking news, dude, you gotta at least come correct a little bit. You can't just see backlash in Tokyo tweets and then tweet that's a fucking thing and then go, oops, my bad. You didn't even call one person. He just said that he called WWE and they told me all this stuff about what's going on with Rhea Ripley and Jade. Okay, so is that really a mistake? You couldn't have just called the guy you knew and fucking asked if Backlash was in Tokyo before people had to point out it was an AI graphic and shit? Like, that's what makes him a lousy-ass journalist.
The men's chamber, Randy Orton won. Yeah. But Cody Rhodes is getting a championship match on Friday. So I'm sure there will be a big schmoz. And we're going to end up with a multi-person match at WrestleMania.
I'm thinking a 3-way, but maybe even a 4. Maybe a 4. You know,
it could be 4. It could be 5. Could add Jacob Fatu.
Well, I think Jacob. I think if they're going to add
Sammy.
A 4th, you could add that. I was kind of told no, but things always change too.
Oh man, shit.
I could see. I think that any more than 4, now we're starting to water it down. I think 3 or 4.
Water what down? What does he mean water down? Does he mean whittle down? Whittle it down? Let's hear this again.
Well, no, but things always change too. I could see. I think that any more than 4, now we're starting to water it down.
Okay.
I think 3 or 4 is the right number. I mean, Cody's going to be in. Randy Orton's going to be in. I can't imagine Drew McIntyre not being in and them going with Cody and Randy. He's just worked too hard to not be in. So that's and been too much of a key to everything. So that's 3.
And if Dave sits there and goes, well, I was actually told by my WWE assigned appointed fucking stooge, and then Unreal confirmed the whiteboard writings again. Yeah, boy, Phil called it. They write shit on a whiteboard. When they erase it and update it with new shit, or take a different colored marker and do it in a different color, and then that's the old color, because there's a different color likely for what's locked in. I don't know It looked that way. A lot of colors on that whiteboard there, right, Dave? He told us to take a look at them. So we did. People looked at pictures and shit. Online, they were going around. Here was their plans and shit. So, yeah, you're getting told the old whiteboard shit. Then they erase it, plan new shit, and then you're reporting it, and you look like a dumbass. And then now you're like, oh, I guess, instead of being like, I was completely wrong on this shit, my reporting was off. Gee, I shouldn't have argued with people about that when I really didn't know, right?
Jacob Fatu would make 4, but I don't see it.
It's like if I gave you guys an allegedly, and then you guys were like, well, that doesn't make sense because this and this. And it's like, okay.
Allegedly.
Thanks for pointing that part out. That's what I would say. It's like, who gives a fuck? It's not, I don't think any of this shit's ever set in stone. It's the fucking pro wrestling business. And of course, some of it, there is a long-term plan. Like, obviously, you're like, next year, we want Punk to be our world champion, main eventing one of the nights of Mania. Now, how we're going to get there, that can all change on the fly. But we know, like, we want Punk against someone. We have a few different plans. I'm sure if you asked a year ago, in their mind, there was a bit of, like, maybe Roman Punk. They think about it, too. Roman and Punk have been involved with each other storyline-wise and subtly beefing with each other, like in the periphery, even when they're not fucking immediately tagging up or beefing with each other. They have been for like a year or so now. So yeah, it wouldn't shock me if this was just the plan a year ago.
To put anybody else in. I mean, I know you always can. If it's going to be first pin and you just put Sammy in to take the pin, you could do that too, I suppose.
Oh man. I mean, Sammy could just go in and take a pin. Like, meanwhile, you're the same guys. Bryan Alvarez and Dave are always crying about how Sammy didn't get the world title from Roman in fucking Montreal. And now it's you can just send him in to get the fucking pin because fuck that guy. Like, come on, man. Dave Meltzer has beef with Mark Nash. And again, didn't Dave get all emotional damage when, like, didn't Jim Cornette say some crazy shit about Justin Roberts and everyone melted down on him? So here's Dave trashing Mark Nash here.
Javon Evans, who ring announcer Mark Nash called Javon Williams.
You know what? I have never that I can think of disliked a ring announcer. I mean, they're just there. Some of them are really good. I was once mad at Lillian Garcia just because I thought that,
Imagine being mad at Lillian Garcia.
He had a Cuervo with him the whole time, too.
How is that even possible?
The idea of replacing Howard Finkel, who is one of the 2 or 3 best ring announcers I've ever seen, with someone because she's a pretty woman, was like, I just thought, it's the ultimate in bullshit to me. Like,
it's the ultimate in bullshit. Didn't Fink go to SmackDown and then Lillian Garcia was on Raw, and then I think they went to Chimmel not long after, right? Or when they split into 2 brands, was Fink a part of SmackDown at all? I might be off on that. He might have done both shows as well. But when they split brands, like hard split after the invasion and all that, chat will let me know. I forget who was the first SmackDown. It wasn't Chimmel, no? He came after. And then I know Garcia was on Raw, which she ruled, and she became one of the best. So he got over that. Dave, you're just being a whiny little bitch.
The best ring announcer. I mean, the best ring announcer in WWE history, and you're going to take him out because he's not pretty enough. It's like his job is to, ring announce, not to be like whatever. But they did it, and that's fine and all that. This Mark Nash, I don't know what it is about him, but I genuinely just see him, and I just don't like him. I don't know.
Dave just doesn't like this dude. He doesn't like his face, doesn't like his haircut. And meanwhile, Dave, did he melt down on you for saying this? Or is this just another hilarious twist of fate and irony where Dave is now being hypercritical and just for no reason being like, I don't like this guy, even though he jumped to Justin Roberts' defense when Jim Cornette did the same thing? Dave never fails to fuck around like this.
I mean, and he, this is just a mistake, and everyone makes mistakes. I'm not saying it because of that. I'm just saying there's something about this guy where it's like, like I know that like Nick Khan
Finkel was on SmackDown after the hard split. Thank you.
saw him at doing some stuff in Vegas and loved him, but it's just like I don't know. He ain't my favorite ring announcer, that's for sure.
I got nothing against the guy personally, but I laughed when you said that because he did the ring announcements for the first Elimination Chamber, the women's, and I was just like, I don't like this guy.
I just don't like the guy.
I do not like his ring announcing. And then later, when he said Javon Williams, he was done.
Everybody makes mistakes. That when he said it, it was just
I
like
have never messed up a name.
Yes, you have. We all have. Everyone.
Alvarez, see oh my God. Please, Alvarez, please, Bryan, be doing a bit here. I've never messed up a name. This better be a fucking bit. Okay? Because you cannot sit there and fucking say that. These dudes all just think they're fucking infallible beings, nigh omnipotent.
Everybody makes mistakes. That when he said it, it was just
I
like
have never messed up a name.
Yes, you have. We all have. Everyone
5 minutes ago. But the point is,
okay, thank you. Thank God. I paused it. I let my anger out. And then Bryan redeemed himself. He was just working, Dave.
I mean, everyone messed up names. I wasn't mad about messing up a name. Everyone does that. But there's something about his ring announcing that's like, it's not like it's the end of the world. It doesn't, man. And I've never disliked a ring announcer. And maybe he should be like a heel ring announcer, like Jim Cornette or something. I don't know.
What?
Man.
Was Jim Cornette ever a ring announcer? Was Jimbo a fucking ring announcer, dude? I don't think he was.
you, bye, boom.
You mean a manager? Not only you fucking up
Javon
names,
Evans.
you're fucking up titles of jobs. So Bryan Alvarez and Dave react to LA Knight. Yeah, slipping at the chamber.
So LA Knight was in next, and he totally botched a spot.
That run up elbow drop thing where he slipped off.
He slipped off.
I felt bad.
It's not a run up, Dave. It's a fucking jumping. It's like a springboard or a jumping to the next level. It's not running up
for him on that one.
I did too, and it was actually kind of. I mean, I'm sure part of it was Chicago, but there was a time like 2 years ago when this company was so hot and the people loved everything so much that if you botched a spot, they didn't care. They turned on this guy. They booed his botched spot for a while.
They didn't boo it for a while. They just kind of went, oh, and they kind of like laughed at it. They were like, what the fuck? And then they just went into other shit. They didn't boo it for a while. You're 100% lying. Okay?
Liar!
If some people booed, it was like a split second. And I don't really recall a time where they could just do anything and botch and people didn't laugh and react exactly the way they did, kind of laughing and scoffing and maybe a couple boos, but like they didn't boo it for a long while, like he's saying. And I don't remember a time in WWE history where they could just do anything and people cheer it. Like, I don't know, man. I think Bryan's just completely making this part up.
Yeah. It's a different crowd. Some mask guy comes down. He tries to climb the cage. He gets yanked off by security. They did the same angle on SmackDown. A mask guy show up. They grab the guy. They unmask him. It's just supposed to be some fan, and so they arrest him. So they did the same thing here.
Isn't it supposed to be like one of Seth Rollins' proteges?
Well, that's who it actually was.
Yeah. Okay.
But the story was, I mean, it may come out that Seth set him up, but on TV.
Yeah, there's 12 masked men now. I guess this was before Raw. But
the story was, it was just some fan.
Or maybe. Did they record this before Raw?
They didn't recognize. Same thing happens again here. Security comes down and take this guy away. And as security's distracted, another masked guy hits the ring. He ends up giving the stomp to Logan Paul. He unmasks, and in fact, it is Seth Rollins. Logan Paul gets pinned. So it's Seth and Logan Paul at WrestleMania.
Yeah, so it's all of like Seth's students. Now, the one thing I don't like about that personally is like, okay, you could have used that to then maybe get some guys over that you're calling up, and they still could. But if it's just like Seth's got 12 random students who will run in anytime, and then he just doesn't once he's a babyface fighting the heels, then it's like, I don't know, man. Maybe you should have thought that one out a little bit more. All good. Not going to shit all over it. I'm actually back into Seth Rollins again now that he's away from the vision. I'm like, hell yeah. Like the crowd went nuts for him, and in a weird way, they kind of salvaged a story out of it a little bit with Logan Paul and Seth Rollins there, and I think that's a good match to do at Mania, honestly. So Bryan, he's always crying about NXT. And so here's them criticizing Ethan Page and just crying because he hasn't been called up. So these guys have no clue about how the television business work. They couldn't book wrestling. Well, they do book wrestling for Tony Khan, but but they couldn't book wrestling if you paid them to do it. And Bryan's still crying about the fact that Ethan Page isn't called up when they just called up all these fucking people. And how do you know Ethan Page isn't just going to pull an Obafemi and put this dude over one time and then go up? He's just going to put Miles Bourne over one last time and then go up or whatever the fuck. Again, you need people like Joe Hendry, Ethan Page, Javon Oba. The reason it took them a minute to call them up fully is because you got to ease and cross them over because you don't want to just lose all the view. Imagine a show you just turn on and the whole cast is different because Bryan Alvarez is crying about it. No, Ethan Page is like the focal point, even as North American champion of the NXT show. He's one of the main reasons people tune in to see that shit. You got to give him a little more time. So what they're doing now, which again, if Dave studied and learned, if Bryan studied and fucking learned, you know what I mean?
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
They would realize that they're staggering the call-ups now. So it's staggered. It's like, we'll call up 2-3 guys, and then there's like 2-3 that you think should be up, but they're not going to come up yet. You got to wait a little bit. Then we'll call up like 2-3 more. And it's always kind of been that way, but when they started, people's minds they think it doesn't work that way because for a while there, it was always like at WrestleMania, like the Raw after Mania. It's like Enzo and Cass and then American Alpha, and they introduce new people. And then for a while there, it was like, we're doing the draft. So there's going to be a draft every year. And then that's where the call-ups are. But realistically, you can't do that when you promise CW a fucking show. And they're like, been pleased with it. Yeah, we're just going to change it entirely now this season. Just because you can't do that, bro.
Miles and Ethan, they both want a match right now. And so Stone comes out and says, all right, but you guys got to put your gear on. And Paige says, no, this guy challenged me. Let's do it right now. So Stone says, all right, if you want to do it right now, let's get a referee out here. So Miles and Ethan wrestle for the North American title in suits. They have a tuxedo match, except you have to like pin the guy. But they get their clothes torn off. And finally at the end, Ethan wraps a belt around his wrist. Actually, he grabs a belt. The referee takes the belt away, but he has a second belt. Why he wears two belts? A question never answered.
Because he's a fucking heel, and it's him cheating. It was a ploy. Like, how could you? This is what I mean. These guys are too dumb to even like be pro wrestling fans.
He had Cuervo with him the whole time too.
I don't mean to pull a sicko and be like an entitled fucking elitist type character right now, but it's like, dude, how dumb are you? Do you just not understand this? Like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's not explained why he wore two belts because he's a fucking heel cheating. And so he wore two belts knowing if I lose one of the belts, I'm going to use another fucking belt. Oh, they didn't explain why William Regal had brass knuckles. He just had brass knuckles.
You fucking mark!
No shit.
But he wraps around his fist. He clobbers Miles with the buckle. Miles kicks out. Bourne then tears his pants off, gives him to the ref. As the ref is getting rid of them, Miles hits Ethan with his shoe, and he pins him to retain the North American title. For what it was very good.
Yeah, so Ethan is now doing a depression angle.
Yeah, you too, buddy. You're doing a fucking... Listen to that. Yeah, he's doing a depression angle. It was really good, Bryan says. You sound so unenthused about it because you guys don't really believe this. Or if you do, it fucking hurts your souls to have to admit it. And then you jump right into a criticism. Okay? Instead of just reviewing and reporting the fucking news. And then Dave, the most depressed Eeyore-sounding motherfucker you've ever heard in your life, says this.
Very good.
Yeah, so Ethan is now doing a depression angle.
Where'd he learn it from, Chief?
Yeah, he should be
study you.
Depressed. He's stuck here, not on the main roster. Since
do some fucking method acting. And he could fucking watch you watching him perform well after you said he wasn't going to perform well, even if he was in NXT. Remember, Dave said that years ago. Nope, Ethan Page isn't a star. I don't see it. Tone's not a bad booker for not fucking booking him well.
The best guy's Tony Khan.
Because he doesn't have it. Even if he was in NXT or in main roster, he wouldn't have it. Remember, Dave said that on his message boards years ago in 21. We covered it here. And then now he's like, oh, he's doing a depression angle. Or is he just copying you?
God, he's doing that promo. He goes like, I've done all this in 2 years. And I'm thinking like, they've had you there for 2 years.
He's been in developmental for 2 years.
I mean,
who cares?
I mean, what are they doing? Waiting for him to turn 42?
Yeah. Will Hobbs. They were waiting for him to turn 32, according to you, Dave. Again with your
well, the reason he's there is because
47. How about that? Fuck you.
He has great matches with all these guys that could use the help, but I feel like at some point he should be called up.
Yeah, he will be. At some point he will be. He's in great shape for his age, and people aren't Hulk Hogan when they're 45 now, like they were when Hulk Hogan was 45.
Rewarded for this work. Plus, he's great.
He will be rewarded for the work. And again, Ethan Page is a guy where people make, when they say, oh, you get guaranteed this amount in NXT, you're making minimum 6 figures or whatever in NXT, or whatever the number everyone was pushing around. Yeah, but some people, if you're Ethan Page, you're probably going to make more than that. Well, not more than 6 figures, but you're going to make more than like what number was floating around, 200 grand or whatever. He might make more than that already for all we know, plus merch and whatever they got worked out. So,
Miles.
Yeah, it's funny that Dave all of a sudden is like, oh, fucking Ethan Page needs to get called up. He's all disappointed about it. So the GOAT, one of the GOATs, AJ Styles. Okay, before we get out of here, 3.5 hours, one of the GOATs, AJ Styles. This was his reaction years ago, or maybe recently, actually. I don't know. I think it was probably recently, if I had to fucking guess. But either way, it's a throwback to when AJ Styles was asked about Dave Meltzer and his reporting.
What do you think about Dave Meltzer journalism?
And he just deadpans. He just deadpans. Oh, that rules. He just goes full Undertaker.
What do you think about Dave Meltzer journalism?
Oh, man.
What?
And his kid's like, what? What are you doing? Answer the question. He's just staring at everyone. Are you fucking serious, bro? He's just staring across the flat earth, the plains of the flat earth. Oh man, I love AJ Styles.
What?
That's what I think about it.
What?
Just had to think about it.
Huh?
The kid doesn't get it.
What? What?
That's it.
Who, what? Yes, that is it, AJ. Absolutely. Wow. Round of applause for the kid. He answered it exactly. Who, what? Dave Meltzer journalism. Dave Meltzer journalism.
Are you sure about that?
And then AJ was like, that's precisely it, kid.
That's what I think about it.
That's what I think about it. Exactly. I'm speechless. And the kid says, who, what? Because Dave is irrelevant. That kid doesn't know who the fuck you are. You want to know who I bet he does know? I bet he's aware of at least like Chris Van Vliet or one of these guys. One of these people, you know, he's for surely seen something. And if I don't know how much of a wrestling fan his kid is, but like, I'm sure he's watched an interview that his dad's done with Denise Salcedo or some shit. There are people who do this that are way more relevant and topical than fucking Dave. Unless Dave just stuck to doing history and shit. And even then, who knows? It's all just revisionist history, man. So shout out Jeff Lane, shout out Vince Russo and the brand. Here is one of their weekly clips of Dave. Just, I'm assuming he's going to spurg out here. Let's take a look and a listen, and let's have a laugh.
Really say much about.
I
you know,
just can't imagine. Was Vince McMahon listening to this? And is that why he floored the car at 115 miles an hour?
Bro, let me tell you, I talked to Vince McMahon in an email, bro. Yo, the craziest thing that you all need to check out if you haven't, Jim Cornette reads the fucking email exchange between and reacts to the email exchange between Russo, bro, russosbrand.com, and he reacts to the email exchange between Vince Russo and Vince McMahon. And you know, there's some questions to the validity of the exchange, but if it's real, oh my
Stupid idiot.
Vince Russo is completely cooked and was sort of like begging for a job. I don't know. Shout out Jim Cornette.
Thank you, fuck you, bye, boom.
Trying to get away. He was trying to get away, but he couldn't get away because Meltzer was on his car radio. Who's listening to this in a freaking car?
You know, really.
Nobody. Yeah, definitely. Who, bro, I wouldn't listen to this in the world champion. We wouldn't, bro, let me tell you, we wouldn't put this on at Juggalo Championship Wrestling, bro. And Dave, you're just a goofball, and that's why even goofballs like Vince Russo, no, shut up, Vinny Roo. That's why even people who are widely considered goofballs like Vince Russo clown you. That's why I will clown you, because I'm a goofball myself, I guess. Aren't we all? And shout out Gimmick Talker, the newest and latest Meltzerism. I rate it 5 stars. In fact, I rated 5 flutes. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Dave Meltzer's dumb moment of the week. Some bass Dave at the start. It was kind of bass at the start. It is what it is. Guys, I appreciate you all. Paul Carpenter 7844 has been a member for 10 long months, and boy, is that a long time. Thank you so much. Round of applause. Shout out Tony Khan, Wrestling Observer News. I don't know who this guy is, but that is hilarious.
Sometimes in life you gotta be a hoe.
Round of applause for the PWT Universe. I'll see you guys for Sicko Saturday. Of course, PWT Live every Wednesday and Saturday on YouTube. Dave Meltzer, Dumb Moment of the Week, every Thursday or every other Thursday. It all just depends on what's going on out there. But try to do it every week. And I will see you guys in the Upside Down. Tales, I brought the sign-off back because Tales of 85 is coming out, Stranger Things, okay? So I'm going to watch it. I'm going to hate it. I already know by looking at them, but it is what it is. Sorry, guys. Love you all. Be good. Be good to each other. I've been Phil S. Marks. Peace.
Oh, my God. It's the greatest thing I've ever seen. You're overdue. I just felt it's something that makes you look good, and that's cool, and you know, I'm all for it, but I think you need to tone this down because now it's getting obtrusive to the show. But they can go in the afternoon for a US
Hold
show,
on a second.
as they did there, and they
Dave?
can do 180,000 buys for an afternoon show, which they've also done for All In. So
Okay,
we
hold
know
on.
they can do. We know they can do big.
Can I
numbers for an
continue
afternoon.
this before you cut me off? We
Yeah,
know
go ahead.
one thing.
Yes.
We know it might have done well because it went on first.
I'm not saying it would.
Here's my thing, Dave.
But here's okay. Wait. Okay, here's the thing. Oh my God, it's the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I mean, it didn't mean anything to me. It was just a match.
That's the problem, Dave. It should mean something to you.
Give him a quick squash win just to show that, like, you know, he's not a loser.